The Blast from Our Past Network.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom. Tonight's episode, Knockabout, starring Yuen Biao, Lian Chia Jen, and Sammo Hung.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcasting After Dark. I am one half of the pad team, Corey, a.k.a. Sleazy C. Joined with me, as always, is my brother from another mother, Zach the Total Snackage Shaver. Or should I call you Zeppo this time?
Why don't you call me the guy who, whenever I talk, has a really terrible British accent?
And you do wonky eye movements.
Whop, whop. Want to see my monkey style? Whop, whop.
Actually, yes, Zach, I do want to see your monkey style because that was fucking amazing. Let me hear it, baby. Let me hear that monkey style. You got to blink your eyes too and everything.
Yeah, if we were a visual podcast, you guys would get a whole show.
That's right.
Especially because I'm not wearing any pants. No, I'm kidding.
I can
That's a
confirm
joke.
this.
That's a joke.
All right, so guys and gals, if you somehow didn't happen to read the title of the episode, we are breaking down and reviewing Knockabout, 1979's Knockabout, directed by Sammo Hung, and this is a Patreon pick by Paulette. And this is her first one, and wow, she brought a wild movie to the table, dude.
Paulette, if you were going to choose a movie that is so left field from what we normally do, this is the movie to choose. So thank you, Paulette, for doing something totally bonkers and different and bringing up, like, really good memories from our childhood.
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, my God. This whole movie, and while I've never seen it, I'll just get that out of the way. I've never seen Knockabout before.
Same.
Neither has Zach. It still I still have nostalgia for it because, and I'm sure you'll confirm or you'll have your own version of this, but growing up for me outside of DC and Baltimore, we had, in the 80s, we had Channel 54. I love Channel 54 because that's the channel on Saturdays. They would play horror movies and sci-fi movies. And on Sundays, they would play kung fu movies all day long. You know, like, the Seven Deadly Venoms and, all the movies that the Wu-Tang Clan, were obsessed with, growing up. And I'm sure Knockabout is one of them as well. But so while I've never actually seen Knockabout, this whole movie felt nostalgic for me.
Yeah, absolutely the same. We had TV 20 in Detroit. That's where our intro was kind of pays homage to the original thriller cinema Saturday chiller theater and thriller and chiller and all that good stuff. And then on Sunday it was Kung Fu Cinema, or Kung Fu Theater, I think it was called. And everything from Fists of Fury to Chinese Connection, and then, like you said, Seven Deadly Venoms, or even like a little bit of Jackie Chan Drunken Master movies, stuff like that. So I love this. This movie is exactly what we would have seen back in the day on a Sunday afternoon or early Sunday afternoon. It was super fun to go down memory lane with a movie that, I guarantee would have loved back in the day, because I love it now. It's a hoot, as Corey would say.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the action in this thing was unreal. The acrobatics and everything. And I know Sammo Hung, and we'll get into the cast and crew and everything. I mean, I know Sammo Hung, and I know his name. I don't recognize the other guys' names, but I feel like I recognized everybody, or at least the main fighters in this movie, from something else. And we'll get to that again in a little bit. But I want to roll back to the discussion about, Sunday morning stuff. Or Sunday morning watching these kind of movies. So there's Zach and I have had access to two versions thanks to the Arrow Blu-ray. We chose to break down the export cut, is what it's called, the 93-minute export cut, because that's the version we would have seen had we seen it. That's the version that we would have seen on TV here. Now, I also watched, in preparation, I also watched the Hong Kong theatrical cut, which is about like 12 minutes longer. There is one specific scene that I will actually tell you about, where it is, and I'll sort of explain the scene and everything in my breakdown, but Zach will probably not have actually seen that scene because it wasn't in the version that we watched, but I'll explain it. But that was the idea behind this version that we were going to do, is because this is probably the version we would have seen if we had seen it as a kid.
Yeah, it's the international version. So wherever, I think there's only one way to watch this now, and I believe that's the Arrow Blu-ray that came out not that long ago. You can't find this anywhere else on, like, YouTube or Tubi perhaps, I don't know. But this version is like the one we're going to be covering is the mainstream one, like we do with all the movies. We don't necessarily cover the director's cut. We potentially could do that for a future Patreon exclusive director's cut type series. That could be interesting. Note that for future self. But yeah, no, it's you're missing a little bit of stuff from the original version, but doesn't take away from the overall experience.
No, and I did pick up on a lot of differences in the dialogue, and especially in characters' names. So in the in the U.S. version, our leads are named like Zeppo and Harpo, which obviously the two brothers, which obviously is an homage to the Marx Brothers, because this is supposed to be a comedy. This is like a comedy action. I believe this is billed as comedy first. But then in the Hong Kong version, their names is Yipao and Taipao. But then we've also seen versions where they're called, Taipao is actually named Daipao. And it just was so hard. And then on top of it, it's really weird because you actually technically don't find out the older brother's name until, or even both of the brothers' names, until like 45 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, this movie is mostly fight scenes and comedy scenes, and that's the whole point. So I would say 3/4 of this movie are probably fight scenes. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just will be a slightly different breakdown from what you're used to. But we're going to give it our best.
And one more thing I sort of want to touch on is that there's a lot of like awesome like blog posts about this movie. Lengthy blog posts about this movie that I didn't get a chance to read. But then there's not like much else. There's extras on the Blu-ray, but not like a making of the movie. There's no real information on IMDb either. And I kind of don't know enough about 70s and 80s Kung Fu to sort of know the significance of this film, but my understanding, I could be wrong, but from what I gathered from reading things, obviously we know it's one of Sammo Hung's earliest movies, but directing films. But it's Bao Yin's leading man debut, which I guess is significant.
This is interesting because it's actually Yuen Bao. IMDb is wrong.
Okay, so it's Yuen Bao, and that means his brother is Leung Kai-yen, not Kai-yen Leung.
No, I think that's right.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah.
Figuring out people's and then on Wikipedia, like the IMDb spelling for Kai-yen Leung is different than the Wikipedia spelling. This one was such a hard movie to figure out the people's names, just people's names, dude.
I will say that this is definitely one of our more, I'm used to picking the cult movie that is not necessarily mainstream. This is way in a dark cavern, so whether we're calling Yun Biao Bao Yun or Yun Biao, you get the point. And and we'll call out, we'll be, praising their filmographies in just a moment when we get to the cast and crew, because oh my gosh, like as far as Kung Fu cinema is concerned, some of these guys are absolute legends in the industry.
Yeah, and so the last thing I wanted to say of my understanding of the history of this movie, this is not going to be helpful at all, but my understanding is that this movie has a special place in the history of Kung Fu movies, and I think after this, the Kung Fu cinema kind of changed. Again, that's my understanding. I am no Kung Fu cinema historian. In fact, other than Sundays catching them here and there, I never really watched them all the way through or went out and watched Kung Fu movies on their own. I really only saw them on Sundays when I'd be at my friend's house or something. And I never even then would sit down and really watch them too much, but I always enjoyed what I saw, but never really sought them out.
Yeah, 70s Hong Kong cinema is very different from 80s Hong Kong cinema.
Yeah.
And 80s Hong Kong cinema is my wheelhouse when it comes to kind of my depth of knowledge on this subject. 70s was more, I don't know, they were all edgy and different. This one definitely, toe dips into what we're about to see moving forward into, 80s Hong Kong cinema, more just that wacky, fun style.
Yeah, because like Drunken Master and stuff, Jackie Chan stuff, that was after this, right? Wasn't that early 80s or was that mid 70s? So I know that Sammo Hung and while Zach is looking that up, I know like Sammo Hung.
That's 70s. That's 70s.
That's 70s. Okay. So I know they're sort of all from the same troupe, like Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and then
Yun Biao.
Yun Biao, yeah.
They are.
Yes, that's my understanding.
I mean, these, like, Yun was, if you go on IMDb, I have a love-hate relationship with because of the way they portray things. They're like, not as famous as, Jackie Chan, his counterparts. Well, not as famous maybe in the United States, but as far as, international fame is concerned, he was in everything back in the day. I mean, he was the man. He was badass. Like, you could go down the laundry list of movies he was in the 80s, and you can't go wrong with any of them. Not in any particular order, but like Wheels on Meals, which is with Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung. That's amazing. Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars with Richard Norton is in that, and Cynthia Rothrock. Millionaire's Express, again, Cynthia Rothrock, Richard Norton. Righting Wrongs with Cynthia Rothrock and a myriad of amazing actors in that as well. Righting Wrongs is phenomenal. Eastern Condors, like
Project A, another one with Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan.
Yeah, like you can't go wrong. So, Paulette, if you were onto something, picking martial art movies for our show, I'm happily, I'm definitely down to have you pick more if you would, if you want to do that, or any patrons who would like to sign up to that tier, the highest tier, become a patron now. If you are not already a patron, go to patreon.com/podcastingafterdark and consider signing up to the highest tier, which is where we break down a movie like we're doing with Paulette's. But yeah, Yun Biao is a phenomenal martial artist. He shows off some of his greatness in this film. Not some, a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, you want to just keep going, buddy? Keep going through the
notable,
we'll
come
combatants.
Yeah, we'll come. Sure. We'll come back to Sammo Hung in a minute, but Kai-Yan Leung, who plays Taipao or Daipao, depending on how you say it, another legendary actor, just one great movie after another. Did a lot of stuff with Jackie Chan. One I'll point out, and I brought it up already, was Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars. If you guys want to see a kick-ass movie, actually, I talked to Richard Norton about that movie quite a bit. when he hung out here at my house. But Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars is a fantastic movie. A lot of these movies are now finally getting their release stateside. I think 88 Films is a international Blu-ray company. They put out these movies already. I believe it's 88 Films. I could be wrong. Anyways,
Tiger Cage. I've heard of that one before.
Yeah, and Eureka Entertainment, I think, is another one that puts out international discs.
Okay.
I think they're not region 1, but Arrow is finally starting to put some of them out, and of course Vinegar Syndrome. But yeah, Kai-Yan Leung is great, as well as I'll just go with like the main hero stars of this movie.
Yeah.
Sammo Hung, obviously, who directed this film. I mean, stateside, Sammo is known for a lot more mainstream stuff, simply because he had a TV show over here on CBS. It was called Martial Law. It was a CBS show.
Oh, yeah.
It lasted for I think two seasons or 3 seasons. 44 episodes, so it was around for a while. I really liked that show a lot, and it was so cool to see Sammo break the American glass ceiling, so to speak. But Sammo is a legendary martial artist with Jackie Chan.
Yeah, because fucking Arsenio Hall was on Martial Law.
Yeah, martial law is fun. Like, if you want to see a watered down version, like you see Jackie Chan in the Rush Hour movies, it's the same deal. It's a watered down version of this phenomenal, acrobatic martial artist, just like Jackie Chan, because because of the insurance in the United States, you can't do the things they could do in Hong Kong. Because in Hong Kong, they're like, oh, sure, you got an axe in your head, clean the blood up, put some stitches in. Okay, let's go back to shooting. When I interviewed Cynthia Rothrock, one of her first movies she did in Hong Kong with Michelle Yeoh, Yes Madam, I believe it was called, got an axe in her head, and she felt the blood coming down, and they're like, oh, you'll be fine. No, just keep going.
Damn.
It's like, is this what it's going to be like? Okay. So, that being said, Sammo has been in front of the camera, behind the camera, phenomenal. His fight scenes with Richard Norton, I think that's in Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars. Oh my God, it's badass because he's like this portly guy,
but yet his moves are insane. Like, he's so limber. He's so just Jesus Christ, man. And like, just kind of comment on sort of everybody, because we're talking about Sammo. He moves the way, like, you don't expect a man of his size to move. Whereas like Yin Biao, he does move the way you're expecting him to move. And then he like goes from like a 10 to like a 12. You're like, well, then a human can't do that though. It's like, it's so impressive. And then Kai-Yan Leung, like, I thought I actually really liked him because he went from like not being able to fight sort of to like being able to fight later in the film. Like, I thought his progression was good, but I also thought his comedy was the best comedy in the movie.
I agree. I totally agree. And their connection as brothers is so fantastic in this. I want to get their hand gestures down the way they do with each other. But another guy who's equally impressive is Chia-Yung Liu, who plays the Fox, who's the main villain of this movie. Yeah. And he's really, really villainous. Yeah. Like, when he makes his turn, you're like, holy shit, this guy is evil. And
to speak a term that when he turns heel.
Thank you, and look at you. Yeah. Look at you getting yourself ready for a future Territory Marks guest spot.
Well, he was in Kickboxer, 1989's Kickboxer.
He was. He had a small role, like, uncredited, I guess. But regardless, I mean, he's been in a lot of phenomenal films. The 36th Chamber of Shaolin is obviously one that the Wu-Tang Clan loves and talks about. He's probably worked with, he doesn't have the resume necessarily that the other two have, or the other three, but he's still got an impressive filmography as well, like up and down.
Yeah, and he was also in Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars as well. So I think everybody in this movie was in that as well.
Yeah, Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars, I think, is available. I think I own that, actually. I think that Arrow put that out. I believe they did. They did put out Millionaire Express, which is great as well. If you're a fan of martial art movies, get those two for sure. I will point out a couple other actors I think that are important to... One, I want to point out the police captain, played by Karl Maka.
That's who I was going to point out. I loved him so much.
Yeah, if ever there was like a small role that you make huge, it's his role. He's the act, like what he does with his small role in his, literally 2 minutes of screen time is so fantastic. But he's been in quite a few movies as well. Skinny Tiger and Fatty Dragon is a funny Sammo Hung film if you guys have not seen that one. Again, like if you look up his filmography, it's all Asian cinema, but you can't go wrong. There's a lot of fun movies that he's been in, and he's great. He's got great comedic timing.
Yeah, you're right, dude. He is the perfect definition of taking maybe a nothing role and turning it into like one of the best performances in the movie. Right.
Yeah, totally. Now it's interesting. This actor, his name is listed as just as Mars, but he plays the tiger, which is, it's a very important role in this film. You might recognize him. He was in Fist of Fury and he was in Police Story. That's my favorite Jackie Chan movie, Jackie Chan Police Story. That's the one that Tango and Cash ripped a scene off of. And it's got the infamous, riding down the pole through the shopping mall, like hitting the lights and going through glass as he's going down several floors.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I always hear that one and was it Armor of God or usually people's two Jackie Chan favorites.
Yeah, we may cover Police Story at some point because there's a Criterion version of that is just phenomenal.
Okay. Yeah, I liked Mars as well. I liked the tiger, too.
I mean, look, this film probably has a myriad of amazing martial artists. We just wanted to point out a few that we particularly love besides the main characters in the film. And we'll get to the others as time moves forward because one of them has quite a makeup effects look to him that's very similar to Fist of the North Star. Yes. I'm just like, wow, this is brutally hardcore for this kind of movie.
Yeah, I found myself being disgusted by that scene, even though it's
Me too.
Technically not too violent, but like I was still kind of grossed out, and we'll definitely talk about that when we get there.
There are some dry heaving moments throughout this film.
Yes, and I'll try to talk about any differences that I noticed between the two. But the main stuff is the names and everything. There's gonna be another couple characters who have different names in the Hong Kong version versus the international version, and we'll talk about them when we come to them and stuff like that. But yeah, this was different, man. This was different, but this was in a welcome way. Like this is we've done Hard Target, some JCVD stuff, but I'd say this is a true Karate Man movie. Like this is our first true Karate Man film.
This is our first true Karate Man film, and it's kind of perfect. Like I know we save our plugs to the end, but we're currently doing Martial Art Madness in $2 late fee. This is a perfect connection to the Martial Art Madness that we cover on that show. So it's almost like Paulette knew what was going to be in the embers for us in March. We're covering that on Territory Marks, one particular karate type man on Territory Marks, and our 80s Kids Unite episode that's coming up very soon is going to be martial art related as well. So, oh my gosh, Paulette, you're kicking off the madness on Podcasting After Dark as well. It's like a little mini crossover.
It really is. It really is. So thank you so much, Paulette, for picking this one. I mean, like Zach said, I had such a hoot watching this every time. And, but breaking it down, it was definitely interesting. So I hope I do this one justice. I did feel like I'm coming into this episode a little bit under-knowledged, I wish I had more knowledge, but yeah, we'll just, see what we do. And then real quick, guys and gals, yes, we're going to refer to, the Karate Man stuff as Kung Fu because it is Kung Fu. The Karate Man term, if you don't know, is a Trading Places reference. That's what we're referencing when we say Karate Man.
And I prefer the term karate from Dirk Diggler and Boogie Nights. These are my karate trophies.
Karate.
But Paulette, you hit a home run with Knockabout.
I'm gonna give you a taste of real kung fu. You see, you need experience.
Stick with it, kid. With my brains and your talent, we'll make a bundle.
Master, I never learned kung fu. You consider teaching me? You two mothers again? Kill him! You've been training well. You've made good progress.
I'm taking you in, dead or alive.
Your kung fu has improved, but not good enough.
We'll soon see about that.
By the way, can I really quickly say before you start your breakdown, Knockabout sounds like a bad title for straight to Amazon movies now. I think straight to Amazon is what straight to video is nowadays. You know, straight to Amazon, it's going to be bad, right? So Knockabout sounds like a movie that would star Liam Hemsworth, Gerard Butler, Mickey Rourke, and
with a cameo by Steven Seagal.
Yeah, with a cameo by Steven Seagal and Dennis Quaid.
Yes.
And Dennis Quaid literally probably got paid $2 million for a 5-minute scene. Whereas, you know, Bruce Willis would do that with his earlier movies before he, you know, obviously had to retire from film. But yeah, like this Knockabout is like Knockabout starring every knockoff former great actor, now sort of B squad actor. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying 1979's Knockabout. Before you guys look this up, make sure you type in 1979's Knockabout.
Yes, exactly.
Not 2024 starring Gerard Butler's fiance and Dennis Quaid. Sorry. Cue that Golden Harvest logo. Oh my gosh.
Dude.
Dung, gong, gong.
Dude, that Golden Harvest logo, man. Again, this movie gives me nostalgia for something I've never actually seen before.
Dude, it's like the minute that came on, I'm like, oh, yep, I'm ready to get into my pajamas and have a big bowl of cereal and pig out on Lucky Charms while I'm watching Knockabout starring every C-level actor from 1999. Just kidding. If I do a terrible British accent throughout, it's because the dubbing in this is all British, almost like Cockney.
I was going to say Cockney for somebody. Yeah. Like,
it sounds like David Irons throughout. I'm like, this is what David Irons, when he does a bad impression of somebody. Oh, yeah, see? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, because Sammo Hung's character has a British accent. Then, you know, the two brothers have sort of generic accents, but then everyone else has very extreme accents, you know?
Yeah, it's all Brits.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done. Please.
Okay.
Continue.
The movie opens with a beggar, Sammo Hung, and his pet monkey walking through a market. The title pops up on the screen. The beggar goes up to a local banker at his shop and asks for money, but the man tells him to leave. Sammo Hung makes weird facial expressions throughout the movie. So, Zach, are they supposed to be tics, or is he retarded?
I mean, this is 1979, folks, so we are calling people things, and we are imitating things that nowadays would be not okay.
Yeah.
Back in 1979, yeah, giving him twitches and making him seem like he's special needs, I think it's a little bit of both.
And he keeps it up throughout the entire movie, dude. Like, he commits fully.
he's Sammo fully hung on staying committed to a role.
As the beggar walks away, we see one of our two protagonists, Yipao, named named fucking Zeppo in the export cut, the international cut. So, but we're gonna refer to him as Yipao. He goes up to the same banker to exchange a tiny gold nugget for cash. The banker looks annoyed and tells him it's too small and not worth his time. Yipao says it might not be worth a lot to him, but it's all he has. By the way, the banker has a mole on his chin with like 3-inch black hairs sticking out of it. I wanted to vomit every time.
It's vomit-inducing. This is something about Kung Fu cinema that I think used to make me cringe as a kid. It still does. The effects were very realistic looking, you know. They were pretty authentic. So that mole looks very real. It's not. Because you're gonna find out in a minute someone else has one as well, and it's just disturbing looking. Like the black and blue scars that people would have, like the jacked up teeth they would have, is really gross. And it made it authentic. You're not supposed to like this character.
Exactly. I think that a lot of times they'll give a character that you're not supposed to like an immediate something on their face. You know what I mean? Like, it's all very obvious who's supposed to be good and who's supposed to be bad.
Yeah, so I guess apparently if you've got a giant mole on your chin with giant hair sticking out of it, probably not the coolest person.
Probably not.
Pluck that shit.
The banker is about to sneeze, and Yipao puts his hand over the man's mouth and says, "Careful, you'll blow it away." And then because he sneezes in his hand, he goes, that's messy, and wipes it on the banker's shirt. I mean, the first time I watched this, I didn't know what to expect from anything. But right away, you're like, okay, a lot of visual gags and humor is going to be in this.
Yeah, and it moves fast. It's like a screwball comedy.
Yeah, yep. The banker relents and gives Yipao two is it Yipao or how would you pronounce it?
I think you say Yipao.
Yipao?
I
Okay.
think, but
okay.
You know, it's tricky, guys. Like, look, we try to do it justice. I know we're kind of like, we do research, obviously, but we also too like to go into it somewhat fresh and like unscripted. So, but I'm pretty sure it's Yipao. Okay, all right. I'll try to say it that way moving forward. But if you say werewolf, I won't judge. Yes, you will. Now I'm subconscious about saying how I say werewolf. I met two guys the other day, both from Maryland. Really? Yeah, right near Towson. Towson? Towson? Oh, okay. Yeah, two parents at my school, my kid's school, and I was telling them about you and our podcast, and I said, yeah, he's always he's got a certain way of saying words. It's like, yeah, everybody from that area does. It's just it's the Maryland way. It's like, I forget what they said, but I was like, yep, that tracks. Tracks. At least I don't say hun. That's only people from Glen Burnie will say hun. Going down to the beach, hun. Zach's looking at me blank stare. No, yeah, screw that. The banker relents and gives Yipao 2 coins, right? Yipao, right? So we're saying Yipao? Okay. Yeah. 2 coins for the small gold nugget. He puts them in his pocket and walks out of the shop, but runs into another man. This is Taipao, but right now he's going to go by Mr. Mar, but he's also named Harpo in the international cut. But that's kind of the only time we'll sort of use that term, Harpo. And then he pulls his mask off and he's Danny Glover. And he says, I'm too old for this shit. So Mr. Mar, Taipao acting as Mr. Mar. And real quick, so these guys are brothers. You know that from the description of the movie, but seriously, guys, you don't fucking find out their names until 45 minutes into the movie. And that's also around the same time they start saying, like, calling each other brothers, because everything else is a con up until then, you know? And so it's just, it's so weird that if I didn't read the description, I don't know if I would have known that they were fucking brothers up until like 2/3 of the way through the movie, essentially. Yeah. And I mean, you just kind of got to go with it. This is not one of those movies where like you could rip this movie to shreds with some of the the plot lines because it's all over the place at times. This is like a total let all that go type idea. Let all that go. Just have fun with it. I also want to say too that the original movie poster to this, which is featured on the flip cover to the Arrow Blu-ray, it's not.
I hate it.
I hate it. The one that they did for Arrow is so cool.
Yeah.
But this one, that one is like Yuen Biao, like practically taking it. Looks like he's about to take his clothes off or something.
It's almost as if he's a rock star sliding on his knees singing
with a very low crotch shot.
It's
very
weird.
uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, no, I'll be using the cover of the Arrow Blu-ray for the cover of this episode for sure.
Thank you, and thank you.
So Taipao, as Mr. Mar, says that he is a friend of Yipao's uncle and has a letter and a package for him. They both walk into the banker's store, and the friend hands Yipao the package, or the man. Yipao asks the banker if he could do him a favor and read the letter for him because he's illiterate. The banker agrees and reads it out loud. To my dear nephew, I've asked Mr. Mar to hand this over. 20 grams of gold. That's important. Remember that. 20 grams of gold.
Right, yep.
I sold the house. The gold's yours. Love, Uncle. Yipao unwraps the package and finds a gold bar. He hands it to the banker and asks him to change it into cash for him. The banker takes it over to a scale while Yipao takes out 2 coins and pays Mr. Mar, but only drops 1 coin into his hand. Mr. Mar, a.k.a. Taipao, frowns and leaves. It's going to be kind of a running gag, him shorting his brother.
It's yeah. And also too, the banker guy is not reading the paper at all.
Yeah.
Like when he holds it up, he's like looking over it. You're like, what are you looking at?
He's looking at Yipao. We cut over to the banker, and he's looking at the scale and smiling. We hear what he's thinking. Hey, there are 28 grams. This guy, I think, had this is the Cockney accent guy, right?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
This has got 28 grams here. Hold on, wait, hold on. David Owens. There we go. I got to do my practice.
Corey, by the way, is going, David
Owens. These meatheads thinks there are only 20. I'll clean up here. Yipao breaks his concentration and asks, how much is it worth? The banker says it's a little short of 20, but he'll exchange it. The banker gives Yipao his money, which is basically a bag of coins and some cash. I think it's all coins, though.
Yeah.
And then gives him a certified receipt, thus making it a legal transaction. All of this is important. It's important for the Hong Kong theatrical cut. It's not as important for the international cut, and I will explain that in a little bit. Yipao goes to leave, and the banker asks if he's going to count it. The young man says no. He trusts the banker. Then Yipao asks if the businessman would like to get tea with him, but the banker declines. Yipao says, if you find the time, you'll be more than welcome, and gives him an ominous look over his shoulder. As the young man leaves, the banker's father comes out of the back of the shop. He has the same mole with the super long hair, but it's white instead of black.
Yeah, it's gross.
Oh, yeah. And let's call it out here, dude. The dad, he's got white hair, white beard and all this kind of stuff. All of it's fake. All the older actors, even the old Fox, they're all young with fucking frosted hair. It's all they're all made up to look older.
As a kid, it disturbed me. It doesn't disturb me now, but as a kid, that artificial grayness creeped me out.
Did the same thing creep you out when American movies did it as well? For example, let's think of wasn't that Emilio Estevez in old makeup as Billy the Kid in Young Guns 2 and whatnot? So when they did it in America, would that freak you out the same as this?
No, I think with the fake hair, the fake the bad dubbing, it just kind of creeped me out a little bit more back in the day. The American one, I guess, didn't. And Emilio Estevez just annoyed the hell out of me. So
well, I guess because as a kid, you're already not used to Asian cinema. You're already not used to sort of the tropes of it and stuff like that. So it was just another thing to sort of hit you with, where you're like, why is he wearing? And you, of course, now you realize it's because all these cats are doing their own fucking action moves and stunts, and like they need to be able to do it. They're not going to be able to do it when they're like 60 or 70.
Yeah. And then there's a character in a little bit who's got caked on white makeup, and it's like that creeps me out because he looks very devilish looking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't. It just kind of creeps me out a little bit.
Freaking me out, man.
Freaking me out, baby.
The younger banker starts laughing and clapping his hands. He says, "The fool," and points at Yipao. His dad smacks him in the head and asks if he's looking at girls again. The young banker says that they'll be flocking to him when they find out how clever he is. David Irons, earlier this morning, some dumb sucker came in and gave me 8 grams of gold. His gold weighed 28 grams, but I only paid him for 20. They both stroke their long mole hairs like a beard, that's gross to me. The young banker shows his dad the gold bar. The more experienced man rubs the gold bar against a rock and discovers it's fake. "You fool! It's you who's the sucker." And then he pokes his son in the forehead with his finger. "He's ripped you off, you idiot." So that's where it ends, right? Zach, you saw then cut to Yipao and Taipao laughing over the 2 bags of cash that they got. That's what you saw next.
Right.
There's a whole scene in between, and I didn't break it down completely, but I'll give you the bare notes of it, and then we can discuss in a second. There's a whole scene in the Hong Kong theatrical cut where the banker and his dad confronts Yipao at the tea shop about the fake gold bar. That's why Yipao was like, "Hey, just meet me here." The bankers bring thugs, and Yipao sort of fights them until the cops come. This is actually where we are introduced to the police captain. But in the theatrical, in the international cut, it won't be till later. The banker says that the fake gold is Yipao's, but he says it can't be because that one is 28 ounces, and he has a receipt for a 20-ounce gold bar. The captain orders his men to bring in a scale, and when they determine that the fake gold bar is 28 ounces, it can't be Yipao's. He then dumps out his bag of coins and shows the police what 20 ounces got him, and everyone is in shock when they see the money is fake, even Yipao. The captain determines that Yipao was ripped off by the bankers and takes out his gun, but the young man says they didn't mean it, they'll pay it back, and the captain orders the men to pay Yipao back and never do it again. So that's why the receipt was important. The whole scene about the con, him conning him with the gold, this scene right here that was cut is the fucking payoff to that.
Yeah, that would have been great. But I mean, it makes sense that there probably is something to do with the fact that keeping it at 90 minutes.
Yes, I did. Now, I did read online one of those blog posts about the comparisons of the two cuts. And yeah, the reason they cut it down to 93 minutes was for pacing, faster pace, and for just that, especially in 1979, that standardized American 90-minute-ish runtime. They needed it to be that so they could sell it to TV stations. They can sell it to, because, I mean, I don't know exactly how things work, but I imagine that selling an hour and 45-minute thing to channel 54 or, the channel that you had near you, they wouldn't have been able to do. So they had to cut it down to 90 minutes.
Yeah, no, that tracks. But
it's just a shame because this was honestly, and there's going to be other stuff that we're going to miss and it's okay. This was honestly a fantastic scene. And, the captain in it is fantastic. And you see sort of all the things pay off in the first scene, but okay. Just gives you another reason to go back and watch the original cut.
Exactly.
So what Zach saw, and everyone else with the international version, cut to Yipao and Taipao laughing over 2 bags of cash that they got. They seem to be in an abandoned house that's falling apart somewhere outside of town. Taipao goes to grab one of the bags, but Yipao drops them into his other hand and shakes Taipao's hand. They both laugh, and Taipao says he didn't think it would be that easy. Yipao says jokingly, "Stick with it, kid. With my brains and your talent, we'll make a bundle." Taipao tries to grab one of the bags, but again, Yipao does some fancy kung fu moves and blocks his hand with 2 fingers. Taipao says that they should split it 2 ways. Yipao tells Taipao to give him the hat he's wearing. He then takes both bags and dumps the coins into that hat. Just then they hear someone walking. We see it's the beggar and his monkey. He's looking up at the sky and smiling like an idiot. When he says, "Oh," and walks off, the two men cover the money and look around, but don't see the beggar. Taipao says, "Must be thunder." The beggar walks by again, same thing happens. Taipao says, "I tell you, it's going to rain. Hurry and split the cash." Yipao starts taking one coin at a time and dropping one into Taipao's bag and one into his own. He announces each coin he drops. Yipao then begins tossing Taipao's coins, forcing the older man to look away to grab them. When he does, Yipao grabs a handful from the pile and puts them into his own bag. When Taipao looks back, Yipao just puts one into his own bag. This goes on for a while until Yipao has an obviously bigger bag of coins. Taipao says he trusts Yipao, but just to be safe, why don't they swap bags? The younger man says, there's no need, they're the same. Taipao says, karma may be blind, but he's not. He can see Yipao's bag is bigger. The young man says that's because he doesn't want Taipao to get a hernia. Taipao says he'll take the chance. The older brother says he'll take a chance on the hernia and tries to grab the bag, but Yipao tosses it around his own body while blocking Taipao and using the other bag to distract him. We get a really fun semi-kung fu set piece with the bags of coins. So this is one thing I sort of didn't expect to get, was to get a level of sophistication in kung fu, but yet they're not fighting. They're it's a gag, but the physicality of this gag is unfucking believable, man.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this is the first time in the movie where you see them showing off their abilities, and it's great. I love it. It's fantastic.
It's like, and how he doesn't miss like, how many takes did this have, do all these things have to take?
Right. And this is a time when you couldn't just keep shooting over and over again. Like, you probably had to hit it in one take.
It was probably a shit ton of rehearsing.
Of course.
But these men are so, I mean, they're physical specimens, all these men, even Sammo Hung. I mean, they're all physical specimens of just years of training that
right.
Like the stuff that they're doing, it's for laughs. But like, if you actually break it down, you're like, that's just insane.
Yeah. I mean, look at Buster Keaton back in the day, just all the stuff he put his body through, and obviously that was an influence on Jackie Chan, but I'm sure it was on them as well.
I'm glad you bring up Buster Keaton because I was always a bigger Buster Keaton fan than a Charlie Chaplin. And
same.
Yeah, dude, I get it. Like, and I do know that like this whole troupe, like Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan, they all love Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
I think that's where they get a lot of the comedy influences in movies like this.
Right. I agree.
Eventually, Taipao tosses the smaller bag, and the pseudo fight over the larger bag spills out of the abandoned house onto the street. The dance ramps up with the two men throwing some punches and kicks into the mix, but Yipao is clearly the better fighter than Taipao. I mean, my breakdown is there's some really fun moves in this fight. And guys and gals, this is how we're going to sort of go through fights. I'm going to hit some key points, but I don't know how to explain to you what's happening. All I can say is, even if you listen to this whole breakdown, go watch the movie, because anything I say doesn't do it justice.
No, I mean, we will, if anything, glaring pops up about a fight scene, we may bring it up, but fight scenes are hard to discuss on the show because you really have to just see it to get the full effect. But trust us, it'll be worth it. And we will call it out too. If it's a fight scene you definitely cannot miss, we'll note that. If the fight scene's not great, we'll note that too.
Yeah.
But not in this case. Not in this case for this movie.
No, there's every fight scene is fucking amazing.
Right.
And this is kind of giving me a little bit of a practice run. Because Zach mentioned earlier, his Hong Kong cinema bread and butters in the 80s. Mine's in the 90s because I was a big John Woo, Chia-Yung Fat fan. And one of these days I want to bring The Killer or Hard Boiled or both to the show. But like, I think about this sometimes with Hard Boiled. I'm like, the last 20 minutes of the movie is like a giant shootout. How do I break that down? So I feel like this is kind of like a bit of a test run for me to figure out how to break down Hard Boiled in the future.
Right.
As they are fighting, the larger bag eventually gets kicked by accident and lands in the nearby woods, where the beggar picks it up and runs off with it. Yipao and Taipao go running into the bush to find their money, but they don't see it or the beggar. As they are looking, the beggar finds the other bag and swaps it with a similar looking one. Taipao says it's okay. He'll take the smaller bag because Yipao did all the work anyways. Yipao says no, it was all Taipao's idea, so he should have the bigger bag that was lost. It's a very brothers fight, you know?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And the whole thing too, the mood is like so upbeat throughout all this. Then it takes a turn towards the third act.
It does. We'll get to that. And we'll talk about it when we get to that, but I was not expecting that at all, it to get that dark.
Same.
They both fight as they run back to the smaller bag. Yipao says that's all that's left. If they fight, they'll lose that too. Taipao says at least they had some luck today, and they should use that at the casino. They both grab the bags of coins, but don't let go. They turn their backs to the camera, then throw their arms out at the same time. It's almost as if maybe they're doing a version of rock, paper, scissors, but we don't see the outcome of it. They turn around, and Taipao reluctantly gives Yipao the bag as they walk back to town.
Yeah, their hand gestures are classic.
Oh, so good. So good. Hey everybody, Corey here. I just want to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages.
Hello, and welcome to Vampire. Vampire is a wildly ambitious, independent horror comedy film.
It is fun, sexy, thrilling, and unpredictable from start to finish.
On the surface, Vampire is a slasher flick set in the 90s.
References Bambi, but it's not just, oh, Bambi, but horror. It's its own thing, and it has a real story to tell.
Vampire is a story that I wrote to encapsulate my own experience growing up in the wilds of Alaska, seeing humankind interact with nature.
So to me, Vampire is just like a fantastic horror comedy, just like a classic kind of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, early Scream era.
It's also a gore fest that will make you wonder if we took the actors back there and really mauled them like that.
It is going to be so wildly entertaining.
It's visceral, it's energetic, it's emotional, it's popcorn, it's candy. It feels like watching a movie. It's a movie.
And now, back to the show. The two men walk into the casino to gamble, but the dealer thinks they're poor. Yipao pulls out the bag of coins and shakes it. The owner looks at it and nods. They go to gamble and make a funny hand gesture with two domino pieces, then slap them down on the table. This is what was good, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a, brother handshake, bro handshake.
Did you and Eric ever have one of those, or was he too busy dropping his balls on your head while you slept?
I think you just answered your own question. One of these days, he's gonna listen to all of these, because he told his friend about our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, because he doesn't listen to podcasts. I think he listens to like audiobooks, which is fine. And he's like, yeah, you should check it out. And I think someone said, yeah, I listened to your brother's podcast. It's really good. And I'm like, dun 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 dun, inner monologue. Oh shit! Did he tell him about me besmirching my brother? Dun 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 dun. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's great. Tell him thanks. Dun 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 dun.
All I can picture is one day Eric's gonna sit down. He's gonna put his headphones in. He's gonna start listening, and he's gonna be like in this chair, and all we're gonna see is his reaction in his face, and it's gonna be the Jaws camera work where the camera zooms on him, but the background goes away, and his jaw just opens.
And then that golden harvest, dong dong dong.
Oh God! Well, you know what, Eric? If you're listening to this, well, maybe you need to hear it.
Oh, Eric, I love you, but that shit, you come on, I love you.
So they appear to win the pot. There's multiple times in this movie where they're gambling. I don't know what the game is at all.
Same. I mean, look, at one point they're using buttons. I'm like, who the hell uses buttons? What game is this? All I know is like mahjong and the pinball kind of game that they had back in the day that Charlie Brewster had in his bedroom when Jerry Dandridge came in and he kicked the glass out of it. I had that, actually. We had that growing up. I don't know why. Anyways, those are the only games I know from, overseas.
Yeah.
So I'm just a dumb white boy.
Yeah, me too, buddy. All I know is Chinese checkers and mahjong, my man. So this one here, they're playing with dominoes, but they're not like our size, like, dominoes. They're different. And then later is going to be the one with the buttons.
Oh, yeah. And the domino game they played in Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, that's right. I think, I knew I sort of recognized it. Yeah. All right, so they win the pot. That's great. The dealer passes them the money, but the owner stops him and says he wants to see the stake money first because they never, like, cashed in their chips or anything.
Right.
Yipao happily obliges, but when he dumps the content of the bag, everyone sees that their coins are fake. Yipao and Taipao are genuinely surprised by this. The owner tells his men to give them back their Mickey Mouse money and teach them a lesson. All the employees and dealers at the casino attack Yipao and Taipao as the rest of the regular patrons clear out. We get a full brawl between Yipao and Taipao in the whole casino. Yipao holds his own with more traditional kung fu moves, while Taipao's more unique style has him evading his attackers under a table multiple times in a row, getting kicked as he pops up, landing behind the table, crawling under, getting kicked when he pops up, rinse and repeat until he gets the upper hand. And that was when I was like, man, this dude's body is in peak shape, because the fact that he can be on the ground, he stands up but then launches himself backwards when he gets kicked by the other actors, lands, crawls under again, has to stand happens like 5 or 6 times.
It's so acrobatic. But people often say, rightfully so, that Jackie Chan is just, a phenomenal acrobatic martial artist. All of these guys are equally in that same boat.
No, I thank you for bringing up acrobatic. I think that is a fantastic term to describe like the level of skill that these guys have.
Yeah, it's underappreciated for sure.
Yipao tells them to back off before he really gets mad, but then he gets punched. He says he's going to use a little Thai boxing and then beats up some guys. He fights another casino thug on top of a table using his throw, cut, press, and plunge technique. When the guy and others attack Yipao, he says, throw, cut, press, plunge, hit. Each time he uses the technique on people. When he meets another fighter who can parry the throw, cut, press, and plunge technique, Yipao says he won't hit the man. In the Hong Kong theatrical cut, he says he won't hit a fellow disciple. He doesn't say that in this version.
Interesting.
Just it's weird because it's just one word or just like one little phrase, but yet they chose to not use it and change it.
Yeah, interesting.
Then he turns around and kicks the guy because he never said he wouldn't kick him. He just said he wouldn't hit him. The two men fight off their attackers for a short time, with Taipao's style being a bit more comical, but they eventually lose the battle since they're outnumbered. The casino gang holds Yipao and Taipao as the owner walks over. He says they should carve them up, but Taipao says it was all his idea. Yipao agrees and says it was a bad idea as he slaps Taipao in the face multiple times. The owner of the casino has had enough and orders the men to throw Yipao and Taipao out of the building. So we get our first big set piece, like fight piece, and we're going to get again later in the casino, but it'll be bigger. And I think this movie does a great job of every set piece gets bigger and bigger and bigger as the movie builds up.
Yeah, they're almost recognizing the fact that each fight scene has to become better than the last one.
Yeah, because that's going to be the arc for these two guys.
Right.
As Yipao and Taipao walk through the market, they figure out how to make more money. Yipao holds up his older brother's hands and says, maybe they can make some money from this. Taipao pulls his hand away and says, not my jade ring. Just because you've gone and sold yours, you keep your hands off mine. They walk past a man selling freshly caught and gutted fish. The two men walk up to him and ask if the fish are really fresh. The merchant says, see for yourself. Taipao, who's wearing a long-sleeve top, sticks his two arms in a giant pot of water and fish. A giant pot of water with fish in it. He pulls his arms out with fish clearly in his sleeve, wiggling around, and says the man's lying. They're all dead. Yipao and Taipao walk away. And I love like Taipao's like facial expressions and everything.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
I don't like fish. I don't want to touch fish, bro. I don't want them touching me. I mean, I like to eat fish, but I don't want I hate live fish. Fish freak me out, man. They're gross.
Really?
Yeah. Touching all slimy and shit.
I remember we go fishing at the lake and Eric, my brother, would be like, I'm not cleaning it. And my dad's like, you have to clean the fish. That's what you do. You catch the fish, you have to clean it. And he's like, I can't. I'm grossed out by it.
Do you know how to clean a fish then? Like to gut it and debone it and all that kind of shit?
Yep. I had
No
to cut the
shit.
head off, and I wasn't perfect at it. A little sunfish,
Yeah.
I don't want to put the worm on the hook. I'm like, come on, dude. Oh, it's gross.
Okay, in this regard, I was Eric.
Yeah, it's all good.
So, do you ever take boaty fishing, or is that something that ever stuck with you?
Yeah, I took him fishing up in Tahoe, and he caught at least 1 or 2 fish one time. And
did you catch and release them, or did you eat them?
I think we ate them.
Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know this about you, buddy.
Yeah, I love to fish. I haven't done it a lot, but I'll happily put a worm on a hook. And look, I have a bearded dragon lizard that totally creeps Corey out, by the way. And I have to feed that thing blue worms, mealworms, wax worms, all sorts of worms that are creepy crawly and I'll crawl all over you. I put those things in my hand and he eats them out of my hand. So
wow,
I don't mind.
Okay.
I fell through a floor once and had maggots all over me. So I told that story.
That story is nightmare fuel right there.
Go back and listen to that one.
You know what, buddy? I'd go fishing with you, man. Like I actually am not against it. Like I would do it. It's, just to go chill. I actually like fishing in video games,
Oh God. I'm really good at Bassmaster.
Zach rolled his eyes. I've never seen Zach roll his eyes so hard before.
I will happily. You live up in Oregon, and I'm sure there's beautiful places to go fishing up there. Yeah, fishing's fun. My whole thing is I don't do catch and release. If you're gonna catch it, you're gonna eat that sucker.
Right. Yeah, I was always felt bad for the fish if it's going to get a hook in its mouth. Just commit to it.
Circle of life, yo.
Circle of poop, as South Park would say.
But this is a funny scene though, where he has the fish up his sleeve, and they're like wacky vagabonds. You know, it is totally a throwback to silent era type films. Charlie Chaplin, Little Hobo, or whatever.
The Tramp.
The Tramp, and Laurel and Hardy. Obviously, they make the Marx Brother reference, but yeah, Marx Brothers too. Like all that stuff. It's screwball comedy. Kung Fu style with amazing physicality to it. Look at the amazing physicality.
They walk into a restaurant and order a bunch of fish dishes. They tell the waiter to bring over a basket, and Taipao drops 6 fresh fish out of his sleeves onto the woven container. The waiter looks amazed. As he leaves, Taipao says they'll need some tea, rice, and cash as well for a tip. So I guess it's not a restaurant where I guess you buy food, or it can prepare the fish that you've caught or something like that. There's a few times, like I said, there's a lot of stuff in this movie where I'm like, I don't quite understand is this a restaurant? You know what I mean? But
right.
I guess you bring your own meat to it and they'll cook it and put it with other things that you order.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Yipao says he has an idea and looks around the restaurant. He sees an old man sitting at a table eating alone. He also notices the man has a bag wrapped and sitting on a chair next to him. He looks back to Taipao and says, "We're all set for a good meal apart from one thing, a sucker." Yipao says there's one right behind them and motions to the old man. Again, the old man has fake salted hair and a fake white mustache to look like he's, 60 something, but I'm sure he's 29 or 31 or something,
He's got the experience of a 65-year-old man, but he's got the body of a 29-year-old man.
That's every woman's dream, isn't it?
Shh.
And it should be noted that this old man is who will be later referred to as the old fox or the fox.
The fox.
Yeah.
The fox, baby. He's the fox. I love that, by the way. I love the fox character name.
Oh, no, that's fucking awesome, dude. Especially since I was a big Metal Gear fan. That kind of reminds me of, like, Foxhound and shit like that.
Oh.
I'm more of a gamer than Zach is. Yipao whispers in Taipao's ear, and then the older man says it better work. The jade ring is all he has left. He takes off the ring and hands it to Yipao. The younger man then wraps up the ring in a little red handkerchief and walks over to the old man. He pretends to trip, it's a very elaborate pretend, but it's funny. He lands on the old man's bag, and as he does, old man's bag, Give me here, yo,
Old man's bag?
Yeah, no, I was
We go
thinking
from the gate with giant holes to old man bag.
No, I was thinking of what Jerry says to the old lady with the marble rye. Get here, yo, bag.
Oh, yeah.
Runs away.
Old bag is a funny expression. I guess because it's like a wrinkled brown bag.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, I always like it because it was like, it feels like it's one of those old expressions, you know?
Right.
Which is why I always thought it was funny that Jerry said it to that lady, yo, bag. And then just goes running away, you know?
Yeah, it's great.
So as he does, he secretly shoves the handkerchief inside. At the same time, when he sort of lands on top of the bag and shoves the handkerchief with the jade ring inside of it. At the same time, we see Taipao walk out of the restaurant. Yipao apologizes to the old man and leaves, and the old man chuckles to himself. He then spins his bag around. It's like the camera's sort of under the chair. He spins the bag around in the chair and then grabs the handkerchief out of it and puts it in his pocket. Just then, Taipao walks in with 2 officers and the police captain. So, in the Hong Kong release, his name is Captain Baldy, which is funny because he's got a bald head.
And he's doing this technique as he walks in where he's like rubbing his head and he's kind of walking with a crooked back, like he's got scoliosis, like he's hunched over. But he's doing this kind of like smooth, like he's smoothing out his hair kind of thing, but he's bald. It's really funny. He's very expressive. It's like very overly theatrical, and I love it.
So do I, dude. Again, he might actually be my favorite character in the whole movie. But yeah, like when he comes over and they sort of bring him over to the old man, he puts his foot up on the chair, but then kind of leans in and rubs his head, but then moves his like head at the same time. It's like one beautiful asshole motion, you know?
One beautiful asshole motion brought to you by Corey Stevenson, Podcasting After Dark.
Put that on a shirt. One beautiful asshole motion.
One beautiful asshole motion.
So all 4 men walk directly over to the old man who's still sitting and eating. As I said, the police captain puts his leg on the chair, rubs his head, and then points at the old man. Mister, he claims you've stolen his bag. The old man asks if Taipao is certain that this is his bag. The captain looks at the grifter and says, that's a good point the old man has. And he kind of has this like high-pitched talk, like he talks like this, especially in his actual voice, like in the subtitled version. He kind of talks like this, like that, like very high-pitched.
With a hint of a British accent.
Well, yeah, in the export cut, yeah. So he asks if Taipao can prove it's his bag. He says, sure, there's a jade ring wrapped in a red cloth. It has my father's name on it. The captain tells him to open the bag, but when Taipao does, he doesn't find the ring. The old man laughs and says, if there's no cloth and no ring, it can't be his bag. The captain rubs his head and laughs, then smacks Taipao across the face. When Taipao goes to punch him in the dick, because he kind of knocks him down to the ground a little bit, the captain raises his shirt to reveal his pistol. Taipao pretends to sort of shine it, but it comes off a little bit blowjobby.
Yeah, it's because when he reveals it, he's like, it's kind of sexualized.
Yeah. And
I like the poster cover. Look at me with my low belly button. It just makes me uncomfortable.
This movie has like no sexuality to it whatsoever. Except for the movie poster and except for this one micro moment right here.
Yeah, it's weird. But it doesn't take anything. I mean, look, before anyone goes, why do you have a problem with it? It's just weird. It doesn't matter whether it's a guy or girl. It doesn't matter. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, look at waka waka. Like, I don't know.
And again, to quote Seinfeld, not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, we don't have anything wrong with it. It just, tonally, it doesn't sort of fit with the whole movie.
Yeah, it just makes you like, oh, okay, sure, next. It's like the hairy mole. Like, I don't need that. I don't need to see the guy playing with his mole. It's not sexy. And it's not like, yeah, it's just kind of like, no.
Well, at least you got the other scene with the hairy moles cut from it.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I had to watch it twice.
I want to cut that mole off as the blood just like drains out of it, and they got to cauterize it because it won't stop bleeding.
Oh, God.
Because you cut into a mole and it just goes.
Oh, is that why you can't sort of remove them yourselves sort of thing?
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think I've ever had a mole like that. maybe I've had a skin tag and I just pulled it off, you know? Occasionally you do that as you get older. Just pull it off and it's like, just it hurts like a son of a bitch. And then, you know, it's like when you expose a blister, right? And that skin is super raw and hard. And then it just drains blood out. This is making everyone sick right now. And I'm loving this. It just drains blood out, you know, and it won't stop. Then you take a lit match and then you like, psst. No, I'm joking. You don't do that. Don't do that.
Like you're in the fucking jungle of Nam or something and you got to cauterize a wound with fire.
Yeah. I remember seeing a movie once where some guy cauterized something. I'm like, could I do that? If I had to, I would. Don't be picking on moles, guys. Go get it checked out by a dermatologist.
Exactly. I have a dermatology appointment to just get a body, you know, check and whatnot. I mean, we're getting old, man. And I'm so fair skinned. I got to start looking for fucking skin cancer and shit like that, you know?
I mean, you never know. It's like, yeah.
Guys and gals, go get your checkups. And this is your old man corner, podcasting after dark. Go get your colonoscopy too.
Oh yeah, I got to do that.
I did too. God damn it.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus, God help us. Zach and I are old.
And if you want more of this, sign up to Podcasting After Dark's Patreon, patreon.com/podcasting after dark. Paulette just pulled over to the side of the road and she's like, come on, get back to my movie.
This is what I paid for?
Yes.
Your colonoscopy talk? Do you not know
Paulette, does this surprise you?
You know who we are.
A little bit. She's probably a little bit.
Yeah, she is kind of a newer patron, so
right.
Yeah. Sorry, Paulette. We'll keep the colonoscopy and bleeding skin tag comments to a minimum moving forward.
Yeah, exactly.
The police captain tells Taipao that people in town must respect the law. We want no thieves or conmen. Get out of town, understand? Taipao says he does, and the captain turns around to walk away, but the con man sort of walks, like Taipao sort of walks closely behind him, and when the captain turns around, he's startled by Taipao. I fucking loved that.
Me too. It's, every little
stupid,
moment is so funny.
Good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Taipao walks over and stands by Yipao. The younger man says, he knows the ring was in there, but Taipao says his ring is gone, and he looks sort of surprised and sad.
Oh, that poor ring.
Oh, Captain Baldy. That'll be the last time we see him, right?
Right.
Cut to the old man that they tried to con walking on a path in the woods. Yipao and Taipao walk up to him and tell the old man to give him back the jade ring. When the man refuses, Taipao goes to attack him, but the old man quickly punches him in the face, knocking him out. Yipao pretends to act scared and turns to run, but then tries to kick the old man, but the old man parries it and knocks the young grifter to the ground. Taipao gets up and attacks, but is knocked back down with one punch to the face. He now has 2 black eyes. Yipao attacks, and the old man fends him off with one hand, sending him to the ground as well. Taipao tries to attack a third time, but again is knocked down. Yipao attacks, and the old man gets him in an arm bar just using his leg. He tells the 2 con men that he's going to show them some real kung fu. As the old man has Yipao locked up with his one leg, he kicks Taipao in the face with his other. He then does a bunch of precise punches to Yipao's arm, rendering it dead and dangling. It's great physical comedy.
Yeah, and you know that this kind of fighting is not if what you're used to in fight scenes is what you'd see like in John Wick or what's popular now. It's not that. It's very choreographed, but it's beautifully choreographed. It's a different kind of choreography.
Yes. It's very much like a dance, and and it's not like a lot of cuts. It's a lot of like one camera shot, and stuff like that. They don't have as many cuts as I think people would be used to nowadays as well.
There's a funny comedian named Pablo Francisco who does a hilarious bit about Jackie Chan, and when the fight scenes from back in the day when they're fighting, he's like, doesn't it sound like they're saying pan whenever they're fighting? Pan, pan, pan. Pan.
I do wonder where I was starting to listen because it's all these sound effects are so, again, this movie's nostalgic even if you've never seen it, because all it sounds like all the other kung fu movies with those sound effects,
all the same.
What is that sound when when they hit somebody? Like, where did that sound originally come from?
I don't know. I'm sure there's a documentary on it, but we're too lazy to do any research when it comes to that stuff. So, no, I'm kidding. Sort of. No, but I love that just that stock footage sound. Pan. And then the music throughout this is so great. Again, it's nostalgic too, because it felt like the same kind of music that was featured in all these other movies. It's kind of whimsical tones and everything. It's great.
Yeah, I liked it too, and I'm not as musically inclined as you are, but I definitely enjoyed the music in it.
I enjoy the music in you.
Taipao gets up and attacks for the 4th time and is destroyed yet again. The old man says, "So you want your broken ring back," and puts the jade ring on Taipao's finger. Taipao says it isn't broken. Then the old man smashes Taipao's hand against a rock, breaking the ring.
Oh, so sad. You're like, no, but he kind of deserved it.
Yeah, no.
They're hustlers, guys.
Yeah, they're hustlers, man. The old man walks away, leaving the two brothers broken. Taipao asks what they're going to do now for money. Yipao says he has an idea. What they need is a little free board and lodging. They'll con the old man. They'll tell him they want to serve him and learn his kung fu. Once they learn his skills, they walk away. Taipao thinks this is a great idea. If they know his kung fu, they can take on anyone and never go hungry again. Both men go running after the old man. Now, some of the dialogue was cut, I think, from this version with the Hong Kong version, but the overall idea is that with a master-apprentice scenario is that they'll be very subservient to him, but he will have to pay for everything. And you get that idea here, that it's not lost on you in this version, but they say that more specifically in the other version.
Makes sense, yeah. And I'm sure when they cut it for the international one, it's for timing and, I also wanted to point out really quickly, because I had just mentioned it, the composer is named Frankie Chan.
Okay.
He composed over 137 movies.
He's like the John Williams of Kung Fu movies.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. So 137 movies. So that makes sense why you would say, oh, this sounds familiar, because, all his movies were mostly martial art movies, but just like so wild how many movies he's done, So anyways, just wanted to shout out Frankie Chan, the composer of this film.
Nice. No, good call, bro. Good call. When they catch up to him, the old man thinks he's in for another fight, but the young grifters plead their case. By the way, one day we're going to have to cover Grifters. I love that movie so much.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully when Trump gets indicted and is thrown in jail, like when Trump is thrown in jail, then we'll do Grifters for the grifts.
Yeah.
Actually, let's do that. When he gets convicted and he's gone from our psyche, we will do a tribute month of like grift movies where like people get their comeuppance.
Dude, you see those fucking shoes, man? What a fucking piece of shit. What a
for
loser.
$400.
God,
Yeah.
He's a fucking loser, and all magtards are fucking losers.
Yep, sorry, y'all. And if anyone supports him that listens to our show, just peace out.
Peace.
Like, have a good life. Listen to us. Don't listen to him.
To quote Curly Bill, well, bye.
That's a shout out to you, Aaron Don Gilmer. Manic Movie Monday podcast.
Oh, man, I love Tombstone, by the way.
Me too. And I love me some Powers Booth.
Me too, buddy. Oh, God, that movie's so good. And fucking, Michael Biehn is so great in that movie. My God, Tombstone. Tombstone.
Oh, God, Tombstone. Pushing stones out of my, ow!
So they plead their case. They say they've
Balls.
never lost a fight before until now. They figure they could learn a thing or two from him and would give him a chance to be and would like to give him a chance to be their master. The old man says, why should he be their master? Taipao says because they're both strong, handsome, and well-behaved men. Yipao says they're both healthy and aren't into drugs or sex. Losers. The old man.
What? I mean, that shows you what the times were like back then.
I know. The old man starts walking away and suggests that they live in a monastery then. The old master declines their offer. He doesn't want to look after two pups. Yipao says Kung Fu is in his blood. He's been practicing since he was a kid. He knows all the styles. And he does a quick demonstration of the techniques he knows. The old man asks, if you already know so much, what else can I teach you? Taipao then runs up and says, he's never learned Kung Fu. Teach him. The old man says, if he's never learned, then he won't make it. Taipao says he knows some from watching his brother, but if he teaches them his techniques, then they will teach it after he's gone. The old master will be remembered forever. As the two brothers fight over how to convince the old master to teach them, he walks away. They run after him and find the old man standing on the bank of a river. There's a boatman. Boatman? Okay. Boatman.
Hooperman? Shout out to Hooperman.
There's a boatman going down the stream, and the old man tells him to come closer so he can cross.
Come closer. Look at my filth. Look at my Biore strip. Sorry.
The man gets his boat as close to the shore as he can, but it's too shallow. The old man will have to walk in the water to get to him. Yipao tells Taipao to be a bridge for the old man. His back is stronger. Taipao says they'll toss for it. Both men turn their backs again to the camera and make arm motions like before. When they turn around, you think Taipao lost based on their reactions, but just then Yipao falls and extends himself from the shore to the boat, and he's the bridge. I like that little bait and switch because Yipao's kind of smiling, Taipao's kind of frowning, and then Yipao just falls essentially.
Yeah, it's funny,
and you can tell that the actor is on a wooden plank. You know,
you can. I mean, the effects are a little shoddy, but it's still a great moment.
Now that being said, when Taipao tries to walk across his back and they both fall in, I think there's a nanosecond there where the actor is not on a plank and is actually they have to set that shot up, you know what I mean? And granted, it's not like a lot of footage, but I guarantee you for like a nanosecond, he was holding the actor up with his back essentially.
Oh yeah, probably. Because
the wooden plank wasn't there at that point.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, you can tell that when they wince and it's not scripted.
Yeah. So Taipao walks on his back to test Yipao's human bridge and jumps up and down, much to the younger man's dismay. Once he's satisfied it's safe, he lets the old man walk over to the boat. Once the old master's on the boat, Taipao starts walking on Yipao's back, but starts jumping up and down again. Yipao says he can't hold on much longer, and they both fall in the water. And yeah, there's this shot where you can tell for a second he's actually standing on his back, and then he kind of releases and they fall in.
Yeah.
Cut to the old master walking into a restaurant with the two brothers following behind, dripping wet and cold. A waiter asks how many. Yipao says 3. Are you blind? Taipao steps up and says the old man sits and they stand. The waiter shows them to a table, and the old man goes to sit down, but Yipao sticks out his back for the old man to sit on while he cleans the chair. Then he slides the chair sort of under his own legs and under the master's legs. The old man rolls his eyes. He tries to order, but the brothers order for him in unison. The waiter brings out the trays of food, and the old man starts to eat, but is stopped when he hears both of his would-be students' stomachs growling with hunger. He chuckles to himself, then orders 2 more bowls of rice and tells the young men to eat. They both eagerly tear into the food, and we see the rice bowls pile up on the table. The old master gets the check, and they go to leave. The two brothers grab the master's bag, but fight over who should carry it. They both end up holding it together as they leave the restaurant. So, a couple of things of note here. There was no need to sort of do that butt sit thing, but it was awesome. I love
funny.
that. Yeah.
It's funny, yeah.
It was cool. And then that fucking chicken head that Taipao eats. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, I mean, you would need a chicken head?
Would you?
Yeah, I would try it.
Would you? Are you that person? You try eyeballs and shit?
Oh yeah, we were at some Chinese restaurant up in the Bay Area. It was a big family gathering, and
it was Christmas Day, and your roast has been destroyed by the Bumpus's dogs.
How'd you know? It's almost like they recreated that in a movie or something. And there was a fish eyeball, and I think one of Kristen's cousins was joking like, "Oh, if you eat it, it's good luck," and I'm like, "Oh, I'll eat it," and they're like, "No, I'm joking." I'm like, "No, I'll totally eat it," and I ate it. It was gross, but I ate it. I'll eat it. I'll put anything in my mouth.
Oh, I know. Oh, behave. Okay. All right. I can't do that. I feel like I've learned two new
we've
things
learned
about you today.
I've learned new things about you too. You only fish if it's in a video game, and you won't stick random things in your mouth. And most listeners are now going, "I'm with Corey."
We also learned don't pick at skin tags, and if you're over the age of 45, you need to get your colonoscopy.
Yes.
Zach and I are both over the age of 45.
Don't cauterize your moles, and cough.
Oh God.
Moon River.
Using the whole fist there, Doc.
Just relax. Just relax. Ever serve time?
Oh,
well,
man.
it's not for a lack of looking.
Cut to the old master training the two brothers at his home/dojo, I guess.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I know. This is awesome too. Taipao is like rolling a ball around in his arms and complaining while Yipao is stretching his leg on a pulley device. Now, the ball that Taipao has, it's about a basketball-sized ball.
Yes.
The older man hears the complaining and takes the ball from Taipao, then tells him to attack. The older brother does, and the master blocks him and returns the attack without ever dropping the ball from between his arms. The old master hands Taipao the ball back, and both brothers go back to training. It's really cool, like how God, dude, it's fucking awesome, man.
Again, it's hard to describe. It's better just to see it, but the choreography is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Athleticism.
Athleticism. I mean, yes, these are fucking athletes, each and every one of them. Even Sammo Hung.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
We see a fade indicating a time jump, and now the brothers are sparring against each other. Even Taipao's techniques have improved. They stop when they see their master watching and run over to him. He says, "You've been training well. You've made good progress. No ordinary person can beat you. Keep practicing." The old man leaves and Taipao wants to go back to practicing, but Yipao says, "Did you hear the master? He said no ordinary person can beat us." Taipao laughs and says, "You're not thinking about..." "Of course I am," his brother replies. "But where do we find ordinary people?" Yipao says, "That's no problem. Follow me." Ordinary people. Zach, when it comes to kung fu fighting, I'd say we're less than ordinary people.
Yeah, but I can go... pan.
Oh, we'd both get our asses kicked.
Yes. As Johnny Yu would say in The Last Dragon, I know the art of fighting without knowing how to fight.
Ah. I don't know the art of fighting without knowing how to fight.
Just basically bullshit your way through it.
Okay.
You can do that.
Yeah, I think so. Cut to the two brothers at the casino from earlier. They walk over to the table where I have no clue how. This is the game with the buttons. There's a button.
It's a game with the buttons, guys. It's buttons.
It's buttons, guys.
It's
buttons.
like Othello, where all the pieces are white.
It's what does he say? It's all ball bearings these days, guys. Come on.
It's all ball bearings. Yay!
Aye! Oh, dude, we talked about it on Wrap Up After Dark, but like these are dream breakdowns, and we just know they're going to be crazy. But like one day we want to break down Zach's favorite movie, Boogie Nights. We just don't know how to do it because it's going to be like a 6-hour episode. Same
Right.
for Aliens. But we also want to break down Fletch one of these days. We just don't really know how to do it, but it's going to be like our Fort Fairlane episode. It's just going to be us fucking doing lines and quotes and laughing at each other.
I mean, we're literally just going to be probably reading the script verbatim.
and laughing at everything we fucking say.
And that is not a problem.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's one of our pinnacle movies right there.
No doubt about that.
Always the con man. Yipao whispers something into his brother's ear, and they turn around and secretly take the white buttons off his shirt, and Yipao hides them in his hands. Taipao goes over to another table to be a distraction. I don't think it's actually another table. I think it's the end of this table.
Right.
But I think I was wrong in my breakdown right there. Just then, the beggar walks in to gamble with the 2 coins he has.
Sammo Hung, guys. Sammo Hung with the twitching in the eyes, because we haven't seen him for a minute.
Yes, you're right. No, good call. Thank you for pointing that out. The beggar, Sammo Hung, bets against Yipao at the table. As the dealer is counting the buttons, the younger brother winks at his older accomplice. Taipao then lets out a huge scream, and everyone looks. As he does,
really funny.
Yipao drops his button on the table and wins the bet. The dealer gives Yipao his money and sets up another round. Everyone places their bets. The beggar notices something is wrong. The dealer starts counting the buttons, and Yipao winks at his brother, but the beggar sees this. As Taipao yells, Yipao tries to drop the button again, but everyone at the table sees it this time. So I rewound it multiple times because, as you can see in my breakdown, I thought that Sammo Hung had something to do with it, but I can't. And even in both versions, to me, it just plays out that when Taipao the second time yells out, Yipao goes to stick his hand out, but everyone quickly looks backwards at them, looks back at Yipao. And so he's sort of stuck there with his arm out, but then the beggar, Sammo Hung's kind of sticking his head next to him and looking. But the beggar didn't do anything unless, did you see something different? Like,
no,
why did everyone
I don't
turn their head back?
Why did everyone turn their head back after the scream?
Yeah, like back at Yipao this time. Like, it didn't work. Like, why didn't it work the second time?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think the beggar had anything to do with this, though.
Exactly. But yet it's weirdly, it sort of sets up that it like, you think he's going to, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, because he is also a trickster, too.
Right.
But he's a trickster in kind of a Robin Hood kind of way.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just, maybe I was queuing in on something that really wasn't ever even there.
This is the problem with breaking a movie down. Sometimes you're like, why? There must be a why. Where's the why? Kaiser Soze. Wait, what?
Yeah, you're right. No, it's like I'm looking for the Kaiser Soze in this moment, and maybe it's everything. There's nothing to look deeper into. It's just everyone's head. They just turn back because they're not going to be fooled by the same, trick twice, essentially.
Yeah. Well, what's that line from Usual Suspects about the devil and the...
Was it the greatest trick the devil pulled was making you believe that he didn't exist or something like that? Or
Yeah. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but now I can't stop thinking about Kaiser Soze.
That's like one of those movies where you watched it so much at a very specific time, and then I still quote it, like I'll still say, flip you for real, but yet I haven't seen it in like, 20 years at this point?
I haven't seen so many of those movies, specifically starring Kevin Spacey, in forever. And
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
If I was going to watch a Kevin Spacey movie, it'd be The Ref at this point.
I know, I love The Ref. Yeah. Meanwhile, he's back. He went to he was at like convention, and people are like, the guy was acquitted and he didn't get found guilty of any charges, but yet here we are in a culture that the minute something gets put out there, canceled.
Same sort of thing with Richard Stanley. Got canceled, and then the charges got dropped. I kind of tried.
But no one talks about it.
Yeah, no one talks about that. Type of thing. Yeah,
I don't know. It's tricky. Because I know Kevin Spacey was there's a guy who makes these really cool. This is a little tangent. A guy who makes these really cool horror-inspired figurines. I've talked about him before. It's called Attack of the Clay People.
Okay,
and he made a Kevin Spacey, like the Seven killer, right, with the fingerprints and everything.
Yeah.
And he gave it to him, and Kevin Spacey like gave him a shout out on his Instagram page and made this like nice tribute video about going to the convention and meeting all the fans and seeing old friends and blah blah blah. It was just an interesting. I'm not saying it's one thing or another. I'm not endorsing him positively or negatively. I'm just saying it's an interesting world we live in when we have someone who's considered one of the best actors of his generation at one point, and but then people want to just throw him, like totally just kick him to the side when accusations come out. It's just interesting. I don't know. If anyone is interested, you should check out his Instagram, the little video he made, because it's it's interesting.
It's interesting.
Like going into a casino and having a guy twitching next to you and looking at your armpit. He's like, because Sammo Hung, by the way, the beggar is like right up on Yipao's like under his arm practically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Watching everything unfold.
Yes.
So back to your scheduled programming, Paulette. I apologize. My rant is over. Tangent is over.
So Yipao is, his hand is standing, its hand's stuck there with about to drop the button, and everyone now, sees it. The young grifter tries to blame it on the beggar, but his coat doesn't have any buttons. Then the man grabs Yipao's hand, and everyone sees all the buttons he was holding. The dealer gets pissed, and Yipao says he can explain. He then jumps up on a table and tells everyone in the casino they're going to celebrate. The joint is closing and to come back tomorrow. All the regular patrons grumble and leave.
It's a little weird.
I know. Like, I can explain, and then he jumps up,
Well, yeah, because everyone leaves. They don't even know who they are, but none of the casino people say anything.
Yeah.
They just let everyone leave, Continue.
You got to get the ordinary people out of there so they can have a big fight here,
True. Oh, God. Oh, sorry. We're supposed to have a fight. Sorry. Yeah.
So you want us to leave because the script calls for it. Got it. Okay, understood.
Sorry. Got it. Okay, out. Out.
It's in the script. We got to go, guys. Come on. The owner and his men surround the two brothers. Yipao says he'll bet odds. Taipao says he takes evens. The owner yells, "Not you two mothers again. Kill the pair of them." And his men attack. Yipao and Taipao use their new techniques to make short work of the casino goons, all while keeping track of how many men they knocked out. Taipao wins because the number of men on their back is even. Yipao pays his brother a stack of coins, but then sees the owner cowering behind a table. As he walks over to the older man, we see the beggar, Sammo Hung, snatch the stack of coins out of Taipao's jacket pocket without him realizing.
Again.
Yipao brings the owner over to Taipao and laughs. The older brother punches him. The older brother punches the boss in the face and says, "God damn you. If you'd stayed down, I would have won." I love how the owner cowers and says, I'll stay down next time.
Right.
Yipao tells his brother to hand over the coins, but they're gone. They look over and see the beggar counting them. He laughs and runs out the door with the two brothers in pursuit. Outside in the street, the brothers see the beggar give the coins to a group of other beggars. Sammo Hung says, "You wouldn't try robbing a beggar, would you?" Then it's Cockney. David Irons. You wouldn't try. It's funny thing is David doesn't have a Cockney accent.
He doesn't, but that's just like David's when he makes fun of people from that region.
Hey guys, you wouldn't try to rob a beggar, would you? Then he tells the group to leave, and all three men watch the train of beggars walk away. Yipao and Taipao said they're going to kick the beggar's ass, but Sammo Hung says he can handle him. Yipao attacks, but is easily beaten by the beggar's monkey style. He yells out for his brother's help. Taipao tries punching the beggar, but the opponent moves out of the way, and he punches Yipao in the back instead. Sammo Hung then fights both men, but instead of hitting them back, he just parries and dodges, and the two brothers hit each other. He uses this to drive a wedge between the two during the fight. Taipao takes the brunt of the blows, and this pisses him off. We hear him thinking, this is where you find out what Yipao's name is. "Damn it, Zeppo. What did you keep hitting me for?" Yipao finally gets the beggar in a hold and tells his older brother to come over and hit him. A pissed off Taipao walks over and punches his brother in the face. The two fight until they almost knock each other out. The beggar walks over to them and tells them they're great comedians and should be on stage. The two brothers go back to their master, licking their wounds.
Oh, it's silly. It's a silly moment because you're like, come on, guys, right there. But it's silly. This major suspension of disbelief at this point. It's not even about them getting the money back. It's just about the beats. It's all about the beats.
Yeah. Beats by Sammo Hung instead of Beats by Dre.
Yes. I would buy that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Sammo Hung came out and had Beats headphones. I'd buy those in a minute.
Fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah. Back at their master's dojo, they find 2 men waiting for them. Yipao asks who they are looking for, and one of the men says, Mr. Ku Wu Tai. Taipao says that's their teacher. Yipao says he's not in right now, though. One of the 2 men, who we find out later is named Dano. In the IMDb, he's listed as Painter Dano, but he's never referred to as Painter Dano. He's only referred to as Dano here. The funny thing is, and then his other cohort with the white makeup, he doesn't really have a name, but in the Hong Kong version, I love this. The guy with the white makeup is called Snow White, and this one guy with the beard is called Seven Dwarves. I thought that was fucking cool.
I love that. And so Snow White is very effeminate and it's referred to a very derogatory name later on. And Seven Dwarves he has like a military flat top on his head. It's like it's like what John Cena was doing for a while, where the back of his head's completely bald, but the front is still there. So he grows out the front, but shaves the back. So like, you can't tell that it's balding. It's just like the look. It's very interesting. He looks like a cartoon character. They kind of both do, but the Seven Dwarves guy is very cartoonish looking. And he's going to look even more cartoonish in a little bit.
Yes, you will. So the guy Dano says so, but in here, I guess I'll refer to them as. I think I refer to him as Dano and then Snow White when I have to refer to the other one. So again, guys and gals, I'm kind of all over the place with the names. They don't really match the version that we're talking about, but I think that I would rather refer to like Yipao as Yipao and not fucking Harpo or something, or Zeppo.
Yeah. I think you got it.
Yeah. Well, I know I have it. I hope the listeners have it.
I think you got it, as in you listeners.
Oh, the universe.
I know Paulette does. She's like, I'm there. Keep going. Yeah. You're doing great.
Yeah. Stop talking about colonoscopies. Yeah.
Just stop talking about cauterizing moles.
So Dano says he wasn't aware the old man had students, and he wants to see what they're made of. So he fights them both, while the other man, who has a lot of makeup on, Snow White, like we were saying, sits at the table and watches. Dano says their kung fu isn't bad, and then the 3 men go back to fighting. The brothers eventually get the upper hand, and the other man enters the fray, Snow White. The man with too much makeup says the master has trained them to fight as a pair. If they separate the brothers, they don't stand a chance. It's a more important line than I just sort of glossed over. So the master has trained them to fight as a pair, and that's important.
Yeah, to use a wrestling term, not every tag team is good when they become solo wrestlers.
Right.
So,
right.
For every Bret Hart, you got Jim the Animal Neidhart, who's not as strong as he was in a tag team.
Right. And my understanding is you can't do the Frankensteiner by yourself, right? Like you need someone to set it up as well. And it takes 2 people.
Well, no, you can do the Frank. Look at you.
Okay, fuck me then.
You're trying. No, but one time I saw, this is legit, I saw Scott Steiner do the Frankensteiner on a dude who was on top of who was on top of Rick Steiner's shoulders. So he did it off the top rope one time.
Jesus.
I used to play with my toys and like do that scene, do that move. And then I saw it on TV one time and I'm like, oh my, it was insane. But the Road Warriors are the Road Warriors. It's not just Hawk and not just Animal. They had solo careers, but they were way better as a team.
Being a huge Mad Max fan as a kid, I love the Road Warriors.
They're the greatest tag team of all time. I think you have to say they're the greatest tag team of all time. The greatest.
I didn't know that, but as a kid, I just love their gimmick,
I mean, my favorite is the Steiner brothers, but the Road Warriors, you got to say they're probably the greatest tag team of all time.
And the funny thing is, my favorite move in wrestling is the Frankensteiner, but I think I just like the name. I think the name is just great.
You equate that to something sexual, too, I'm sure.
Probably.
I'm sure there's an Urban Dictionary for that. What is it called? Urban Dictionary?
I think so, yeah. It's still around, yeah. Taipao says the man in the makeup looks just like Yipao's ugly aunt. The younger brother looks at him and reminds him that it's also his aunt.
That was a really funny line.
Yeah, I know. Snow White says he'll scratch their eyes out. All 4 men fight, but the brothers are now separated. Snow White versus Taipao and Dano versus Yipao. The brothers both lose to their opponents. Dano tells them that if their master comes back, they'll be waiting for him at the end. Yipao asks what their names are, and Snow White says, "We don't give our names to punks like you, because we ain't ordinary people." This dialogue is fantastic.
It's really funny.
The attackers leave holding hands. Taipao says, "Not ordinary. No wonder they got the better of us." As they leave, Master Ku Wu Tai sees them.
The fox,
he sees them. The 2 brothers go running to him and tell him what happened and where the 2 men will be waiting. The old man says, "So, they've finally caught up with me. Figured it wouldn't be long." The brothers ask who the men are. "My enemies, and they mean trouble." The brothers asks how he plans to deal with them. Master Ku Wu Tai, aka Fox, laughs. "Ha ha ha ha!" He hands the brothers a letter and tells them to take it to the attackers at the inn. Tell them to meet in the forest. The 2 brothers will take on Dano, and he'll handle the other one. In the English version, he does not say this in the Hong Kong version, but in the English version, he says, "Leave the little F word to me," and it rhymes with maggot.
Just think of the Dire Straits song, the guy with the earring.
Yeah, yeah. "Whatever you do, don't let them team up together. Otherwise, they'll be more powerful than ordinary people." Cut to the 5 men in the forest about to fight. Now, Zach, I gotta admit, even in the Hong Kong version, there is no scene of them meeting the 2 people at the end or delivering the letter. I love that they cut that out. There was no need for it whatsoever.
There's no need. Yep. There's no need.
That's awesome. I love that pacing.
Yeah, me too.
Hey everybody, Corey here. I just want to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim.
And I'm Dean.
And we're the hosts of Talking Back. We're a retro-based podcast covering movies, comics, video games, and more.
Check us out every Monday where we hit the rewind button and dig into some of our favorite content from the past. We like to keep things fun, lighthearted, and informative.
Do you feel like you need more nostalgia in your life? Then check out Talking Back. We're available everywhere podcasts are found.
I'm John, and I'm the host of Action Action. Every week, I'm joined by James.
Heyo.
And Dustin.
Hello.
And each week, we review, debate, and rank a different action movie.
We're creating the ultimate list of action movies.
From awful to awesome.
So if you want to hear 3 more white guys with beards talk about action movies.
And argue about where they belong on our list.
And decide you hate us because we made fun of your favorite movie.
Join us every Tuesday, and you can find us on your favorite podcatcher.
And Steven Seagal is a joke.
And now, back to the show. Taipao gets too anxious and rushes to fight Dano, but trips on a root sticking out of the ground. Yipao helps him to his feet, and they both start fighting Dano together while the master fights Snow White. The brothers get the upper hand on Dano and start landing blows. This causes big welts to pop up all over his head. It actually looks kind of gross. So, Zach, I mean, it won't happen now, but by the end of the fight, the dude's going to have like fucking 30 giant welts, like all over his head. It looks like a cap. I am grossed out by it, and I think you said it earlier. You're right, it reminds me of something out of fucking Fist of the North Star.
Yeah, wasn't there a character in Fist of the North Star who wears like a mask over his head to hold in the sores? Yeah, I think it was his brother, the main guy, Fist of the North Star. I forgot what his name was. I think his brother Jagar or something like that. It's with a J. Jaeger something. Basically, the Fist of the North Star guy did the move to him to have him explode his head, but because he learned the same techniques, he could kind of counter it, but then like his head was always gonna explode, so he has to wear this fucking helmet to keep his fucking head from exploding. Like, that shit is wild, dude. Yeah, no, it is a crazy... I wish that movie. I haven't seen Fist of the North Star, the movie, in forever.
The live action movie?
Yeah, with Costas Mandylor and Gary Daniels and Chris
Clint
Penn.
Howard was in it.
Clint Howard, yeah, I think he was. Yeah, I haven't seen it in forever. I didn't like it when it came out. I remember the cartoon was cool. The Nintendo video game stunk.
The Game Boy game was great. The old Game Boy game was good.
I didn't know about the Game Boy game. The NES version I didn't think was that great because it was a side scroller. I thought.
That's kind of how the Game Boy game was, but the sprites were really big. It was different than the NES version.
Yeah, because I would like to play that actually, but no, I remember I had the manga comic too, and that was so badass. Gosh, but I would like to watch the live action one. I would like to watch the live action one again. I'm sure it's available on YouTube.
I'm sure it is. I remember Fangoria covered it because it was violent.
Yeah, that was.
It was during the time when Fangoria had to cover non-horror movies because
there was
nothing
no
else
going on.
Yeah, there's nothing else happening. You talked to Tony Timpone about that in one of your first, like you did that interview without me because it was like I think our very first one. But I think you talked to Tony Timpone, who was the editor back then of Fangoria, and he was like, it just wasn't as many horror movies coming out at some point. They still had to put out a monthly magazine, so
I love that interview, man. He was in our house. He was in my house. He came over for dinner, and then we just did an impromptu interview. It was amazing. It was so much fun, and yeah, hopefully we can revisit that. If I ever go to New York, gonna see that guy. I would love to chat with him again. If you guys haven't listened to that interview, go back and listen to it. It's really, would have loved to have Corey there, and the next one we'll do, Corey will be with us, me. But yeah, that was a good convo.
Yeah, no, I listened to it. It was fantastic, and obviously Tony Timpone is a super nice guy and wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, but seeing Dano get the beat down and the welts on his head is grotesque and disgusting, and not for the faint of heart.
And it's kind of the only time in this movie that there's any kind of sort of, yes, they get black eyes. There's some cuts here and there, although the cuts are very much look like just paint, not really cuts. This is like the most like effects, sort of like makeup effects that we see in this whole movie. Like it never gets replicated again.
Nope. Even like, yeah, you'll expand on it in just a moment, but the death scenes are not very dramatic.
No.
Which I actually like. It's like, whatever, it doesn't have to be grotesque.
No, but these head welts are grotesque.
They are. I could go without those.
Me too, dude. I was like, I didn't need this.
I don't need that.
The old master gets some hits in on Snow White, eventually knocking the man to the ground, and then jumping and doing a flying elbow onto his chest. This causes Snow White to spit blood. The master grabs the defeated man's throat and kills him. I was not expecting this heel turn. This is the beginning of the heel turn.
Look at you dropping those heels.
And Zach, we can say that the flying elbow to the chest, then throat kill, that's his signature move.
Yeah, it's his signature move.
Master Kuwu Tai looks over and sees the boys beating the crap out of Dano, whose head is covered in welts. He grabs him by the throat and kills him as well, much to Yipao and Taipao's shock. The old master walks over and tells his students that he's proud of them. He says he has some business to take care of, but they should go home and change and then meet him at the tea house for a good meal. And I like how you're starting to be like, oh, okay, maybe this guy isn't the good guy, and maybe
the fox. Yep.
And maybe our con men aren't so bad. Maybe they don't want to be bad guys.
Exactly. Yeah. The fox is of these, the fox is cute, but it goes into the chicken coop and eats all the chickens. So
that's great. Yes. Very, very astute, sort of.
Corey's like, thank you, Mr. Obvious. Captain Obvious. A snake slithers around and sometimes it sheds its skin. And yeah, he's got snake fighting. I forgot. His style is a snake. So.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he does have that technique though. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Cut to the tea house and we see a man in a hat. This is that guy Mars, right? The tiger.
This is Mars. Yeah, just goes by Mars according to IMDb, which I don't trust. I'm sure he's got a maybe he's got a different name somewhere else, but we're just going off of what IMDb says.
Yeah, IMDb, when it comes to, I think, Asian cinema, doesn't seem to be very accurate.
Which I think could probably be a little racist. Sure, why not?
Yeah, probably. So he's walking around with they're like wanted signs, asking patrons if they've seen the men. We can tell by one of the signs, all we can see is the sort of the back of it. We can tell it's Dano. Yipao and Taipao sit down at a table and order tea. Taipao says the man in the hat looks familiar, and they invite him over for a drink. That's because there's a scene cut where there was this fight in the market way early on, and he kind of has to help. He kind of fights the tiger guy. Kind of has to fight some gang members, like very low level gang members that aren't that good. But he kind of loses a little bit, and they kind of have to help him, yada yada yada. But it's a scene that is, I think, a lot. It's not as necessary as that other scene that was cut that we talked about with the two bankers. Yeah. But that does give you a reason why Yipao and Taipao say, "Oh, we recognize this guy," because they saw him earlier.
Okay.
So they invite him over for a drink. He says he doesn't have time, but he asks if they've seen this man before, and then holds up a drawing of their master. Yipao and Taipao says that's their teacher. When the man in the hat asks where Ku Wu Tai is, Taipao says he's at home. Yipao even gives him the address. These guys are idiots. The man in the hat smiles and leaves the tea house.
They are idiots. As Bugs Bunny would say, what a gullible... I love that line when it's the episode where he is fighting. He's in Mexico and he fights the bull.
Yeah, what a gullible.
What a gullible. What a ignoramus.
Oh, Bugs. Oh, Bugs. Is Bugs Bunny even around anymore?
No, but I always was a Daffy Duck guy. I love Daffy Duck. He's my favorite cartoon character.
I was a Bugs guy. I was a Bugs.
Were you a Warner Brothers over Disney?
Oh, Warner Brothers Bugs Bunny versus Disney?
Like Warner Brothers cartoons versus Disney cartoons, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, I was a Warner Brothers guy.
Good.
Yeah, I loved it. And I loved Woody Woodpecker, but I didn't love crazy Woody Woodpecker. I loved the more normal Woody Woodpecker.
Oh, I love crazy Woody Woodpecker. He's so good.
Oh, dude, I hated it when dude, when they had those episodes instead of the regular ones, I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah, no, man.
He's now that crazy Woody Woodpecker freaks me out, dude.
Yes. What about Droopy Dog?
I like Droopy Dog. Oh
my God.
So, cut to Master Ku Wu Tai leaving his house just to run into the man in the hat. The younger man says, "The old fox." The older man chuckles and says, "The tiger. You found me."
Fox versus Tiger. It's badass.
Hell yeah, it is. And then, and I know we've referred to the master as the fox before, but I kind of, in my breakdown, now I will start throwing that in and mixing it up and calling the old fox and shit like that.
Okay.
The old man says he's surprised the tiger found him so soon. The man in the hat says, "You're a cunning devil. You screwed up the bank job with Beardy and the FAG, and they took the rap," referring to Dano and Snow White. The tiger goes on. "They spent a long time in jail. Now they've escaped, looking for you. They've been seen heading this way." The two men are circling each other as they talk. Master Ku Wu Tai says, "That's right. In fact, they've been here already." The tiger asks where they are. The old criminal says, "Be patient. You will meet them soon."
Oh.
The man in the hat says, "So you've murdered them, right?" The old master laughs and the tiger says, "I'm taking you in, fox, dead or alive." The two men start fighting and the tiger holds his own against the old master. Cut to Yipao and Taipao in the tea house waiting for their master. Flies are on the food and the older brother is flicking them off with his fingers. Yipao says he's going to see what's keeping him and Taipao tells him to hurry back. The fly part is gross.
Yeah, because flies shit on things.
I know. And then they land on shit and then land on things.
Flies crap on food, and sometimes they will crap on you. And then they'll throw up the food. Blah.
What's his name? Something. Was it Cheese? What is it? Podcast. Richard Cheese.
Yeah,
sounds like
Richard
Richard
Cheese.
Cheese song doing like talking about the fly or something.
There's a kids podcast called Story Pirates. They're hilarious, and they take stories from that kids write and they turn them into songs.
That's cool.
And there's a song that a kid wrote that they turn into there's a story that a kid wrote that they turn into a song called "Cats Sit on You," and sometimes they take over your school, and so it's about cats that sit on you and take over your school.
Sure.
So,
I mean,
yeah, sure. But then it's got that like cats sit on you. Sometimes they take over the school. It's really funny. Anyways,
it definitely sounds like a Richard Cheese sort of thing.
It totally does. Sounds like Richard Cheese.
Which,
aye.
Which was a great part of the Dawn of the Dead remake, bro.
What? Yeah. All you patrons out there, if you want to sign up to patreon.com/podcastingafterdark and become a producer where you pick the movie, choose Dawn of the Dead remake. And we would love to break that one down.
Guys and gals, do everything Zach said, but don't choose Dawn of the Dead remake, because at some point we want to do a back-to-back. We're gonna, maybe it's when we can get a hold of the original Dawn of the Dead, but what we want to do is start doing like remake versions, like do the original and then do the remake, like throw them in occasionally. And I think Dawn of the Dead will be a good first sort of foray into that. So please sign up for our Patreon. Please sign up for the highest tier, but save that one for when we can get a hold of Dawn of the Dead, the original. Because who the fuck has the Blu-ray for that now? Like, where is that?
I have no idea.
Why are the rights? Why is that Blu-ray not so easy to find of the original Dawn of the Dead?
Where the hell's the records room? Choose the Crazies remake then for us to do, because that one's way better than the original.
Yes.
Way better. I will arm wrestle someone. I will thumb wrestle someone for that one.
No, I'm with you, buddy. And by the way, Zach and I are going to we're going to resurrect the watch list and talk about some Anchor Bay clamshell VHSs and some DVDs, like our top of them. And the original Crazies, the George Romero Crazies, might pop up on there for me because that was my experience with the movie. But I will always love the remake better than the original. It just hit me, bro. I love the Crazies remake better than the original, George Romero's original. I love Dawn of the Dead remake better than George Romero's original. And I love the Night of the Living Dead remake better than the George Romero's original.
All right.
What does that say?
Well, I know what it says. I'm not gonna say it, but I will say that the Crazy VHS clamshell will not turn up on my watch list for everything you just said and more.
And then the question is, how many people drove off the road from that statement I just made?
Sorry, y'all. It's truth.
Truth? It's truth. Sorry, y'all. It's truth.
They made the zombies run. What zombie runs? Hey, guess what, Mr. Romero? People can do whatever they want with movies. You don't have to crap on them if it's not made by you. No offense to it. You just don't have to crap on other people's stuff.
That's right. Truth.
That's what he did. He did.
I know.
I was at those Van Gogh conventions when he was crapping on 28 Days Later, or 28, whatever, days, weeks, months, years. They're making another one, by the way.
Yeah.
They're doing 28 years later. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I like 28 Weeks Later, too. I thought
I
it wasn't
loved
as good
it.
as the original, but I liked 28 Days Later more, but I very much thought that 28 Weeks Later was a great sequel.
It's fantastic. People who don't think it is, well, but you're entitled to your opinion and to cauterize your moles.
You're entitled to cauterize your moles with flames. Cut back to the fox and the tiger fighting at the house. The older man is starting to get the upper hand, but the police officer isn't done yet. Just then, Yipao walks in on the two men fighting, but they don't see him. The tiger says, "Listen, fox, kill me, there'll be other cops. The gods will see that you hang for your killings. You can't run forever." The old master says, "You go to hell," and they start fighting again. Yipao watches as his master beats the shit out of the cop, kills him, then carries his body away into the house. He walks back out smoking a pipe and picks up the wanted posters off the ground. Just then, Taipao walks up to the master and says they were worried about him. Yipao's been looking for him. The master looks shocked and asks if he came back here. Taipao says yes. He left some time ago. Both men look around and they see Yipao trying to leave. Like sort of, quietly trying to leave.
It's funny, yeah.
Taipao runs up to him and asks why he's hiding. Taipao brings his brother over to the master, and the old fox says, I guess you sold everything. Yipao says, more or less. Maybe I can guess the rest. Taipao asks what Yipao is talking about when the old master punches them both, sending the brothers flying back. He specifically hit the younger man in the throat so he can't tell his brother what he saw. The old fox begins destroying Yipao. Taipao tries to stop him, but he keeps getting pushed away. Taipao eventually lands on the ground next to Yipao and asks what's happening, but the younger brother can't respond. I always like that, by the way. I like when somebody fucking hits you in the throat and then you can't fucking, talk and shit like that.
Yeah.
Not that I want it to happen to me, but I think it's cool when it happens.
Take note of that, everybody. Corey does not want to get hit in the throat.
No, please don't.
When you see us in public, don't hit us in the throat.
Thank you. I need my throat for this job.
And other things.
Yes, and my other job. Lining them up like circus seals.
This episode brought to you by C for cauterized.
C for Corey and C for cock.
Paulette's going, oh my gosh, I paid $20 for this?
I'm sorry, Paulette. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. So the master tries to land a crushing blow on Yipao's chest, but his brother rolls on top and takes the hit to the back.
Oh.
Yipao tells his master to stop, or he'll be forced to fight back. The two men fight, and the fox gets the younger man in an arm bar. With his back turned, Taipao hits him, knocking the old man away from his brother. All three men start fighting again, but eventually Yipao tells his brother they need to go. They try, but the old man drags Yipao back to the fight by grabbing the collar of his jacket with his pipe. So he's fighting this entire time. He has this long smoking pipe, and he's using it to block and to do his snake moves and shit.
Yeah, it's cool.
Taipao says, remember what he's taught us. We fight him together. The old master scoffs and switches up his fighting style for the two brothers. Then he uses his pipe and either block or sort of drag the other guy back into the fight sort of thing. Eventually, Master Kubu Tai has Taipao pinned down. The older brother looks at his younger brother and says, the son of a bitch is too good. We can't win. You better get out of here while you can. There's no point in both of us dying. Now beat it. Yipao says he won't leave his brother, and the fox goes to hit him, but Taipao grabs the man's leg and says, don't be stupid. Get out of here. I'll hold him off while you escape. Listen to me, just this one time. He'll kill you. Just make sure that one day you avenge my death. Now run, will ya? Taipao bites the old fox on the ankle and gets his neck broken for doing so. Yipao runs, and the old man goes after him, but Taipao has his leg in a death grip, and he can't break free. This buys the younger brother a little time. So I was not, even when it happened, I was like, oh, Taipao's not dead. But then when you kind of see that his death grip is holding on to the old man's leg, I was like, oh, he's really dead. Darker than I thought it was going to go.
Yeah, this movie took a dark turn at this point.
But yet they still inserted a little humor with him holding on to the leg,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's still a dark scene, but it does have a funny kind of climax.
Yeah.
A funny ending.
Cut to the old fox chasing Yipao to town and losing him in the crowd. Later that night, we see the beggar, Sammo cooking. I was telling Myra about this. So he's cooking a fully feathered chicken by covering it in, I think, clay, and then cooking it in an open fire. So I guess when you break it open, the clay will also pull all the feathers out as well?
I guess. I've never attempted that. That's something I won't try.
We finally found something you won't try.
That I won't try.
But I won't do that. No, I won't do that.
A loaf of meat.
Oh, big rips, Meatloaf. All you had to do was take the COVID vaccine.
Right.
So Yipao stumbles upon the home and smells the food cooking. The beggar pulls the hardened clay case out of the fire and goes outside to grab something. As he does, Yipao sneaks in and swaps the cooked chicken with like another clay rock the same size, sort of thing, and carries his prize outside. The beggar comes in with something to break the casing, and when he does, he doesn't find the cooked chicken inside. He starts sniffing and follows his nose to Yipao, eating the chicken right outside the window. He leans over the food and licks the chicken without Yipao seeing. Then the beggar says, "Not salty enough." And Yipao agrees and asks how he would know. The beggar says, "Because it's his chicken." Yipao asks if the beggar's name is on it. He says it was on the drumstick Yipao is eating. Yipao hands him the bones and tells him that if he sees the name, let him know. The beggar throws down the drumstick and comes back with 2 jugs of wine. He suggests they share. Yipao agrees and gives Sammo Hung a small piece of chicken for one of the jugs in return. He drinks it and spits it out and says it's vinegar. The beggar apologizes and gives him the other jug. Yipao drinks it too, but it's chilly and it burns his mouth. He asks for water, and the beggar grabs 2 bowls and takes the rest of the chicken. Yipao drinks both bowls and says the water tastes funny. Sammo Hung says the water is fresh from the mountain spring, but he just washed his feet in it. Yipao vomits and then says, "You son of a bitch beggar, I'll teach you." He goes to hit Sammo, but the heavier man holds onto the chicken and dodges the attack. He laughs, but Yipao charges him, and the beggar has to toss his chicken to defend himself. The 2 men fight, with the beggar winning. He expects Yipao to get back up, but the younger man is starting to rub the wounds from his fight with the master, and he sort of declines. The beggar says he'll help the young man to his feet, but when he stands up, he sort of flips Yipao back onto the ground and walks back inside the home to lay down in bed with his pet monkey.
My monkey. His pet monkey Bubbles. And here we are, third act, about to set up a what do you call it? An odd couple connection.
Yeah. You're being ignorant.
My monkey, where's my blanket?
My blanket, you're being ignorant.
You are not alone. I will comfort you when your brother dies from the fox too. You are not alone. You're not alone.
That's a good one, buddy.
Thanks.
Later that night, Yipao creeps into the home and thinks to himself, "I keep running into this fat beggar. I guess it must be fate. His kung fu is pretty good. I'm sure if I could learn his style, I could take on that bastard fox. Depends on whether he'll take me on as a student. I'll take a chance. Guess I'll just stick around." Yipao sits down in the corner of the room and falls asleep. The next day, he wakes up to the sound of the beggar practicing his kung fu. Yipao walks outside and says to the beggar, "Hey, uncle." But the beggar says, "Decided to change your tune, huh? Bloody hell, bloody. Decided to change your tune, huh? Calling me uncle?"
That's good. I'm impressed.
Thank you. You must be after a favor. Well, what is it? Yipao runs up and kneels in front of Sammo, but the beggar master throws 2 walnuts under his knees and he breaks them, and sort of hurts himself in the process. The new master picks up the nuts and eats them. Yipao says he wants to learn from the beggar and starts demonstrating what he knows, but his would-be master just trips him with his leg sweep. He says, "Do you think I'll fall for that trick, teacher and student?" Which kind of goes back to that whole thing of like, he has to pay for everything.
Yeah.
We cut to Yipao training. He has 2 sharp pieces of wood attached to the back of his legs.
I do not like this scene, by the way. I do not like this. This is not cool.
I'm with you, buddy. This is the one that I'm like, I wince every time I saw it.
Ugh.
So he can't bend his legs or else he'll be stabbed by the wood.
Oh, God. It's like these 2 super sharp shards of wood that are like, 18 inches long, strapped to his legs.
The top one goes in. Legs.
Yeah, it goes in. The top one goes into like his rear thigh, whatever that is, calf, I guess, calf. The bottom of it goes into his
His
the
calf.
bottom goes into his calf. The top one goes into his thigh from behind.
Back of his thigh.
Nope.
And this is like one of the few times there's like, some effects, like a little bit of blood. It's a little bit of fake skin to show, you know what I mean? Like,
a little fake skin. Little chicken.
So the beggar, I now call him the beggar master, is making him do flips without bending his knees. And you see him do like a ton of them. Again,
It's
very
amazing.
acrobatic. Yeah.
Without bending his legs. It's pretty impressive.
It's insane. The next scene, we see Yipao training with a weird-looking pair of shoes that kind of keep him off balance. His new master says, "With these shoes, you'll strengthen your legs and your stomach." Yipao says, "Teacher, this is killing. Teacher, this is killing me." And Zach, I'm going to ask you a question after this. A tin of Popeye spinach would do the trick, and that way my whole body would be strong. Sammo says, "Listen, if spinach was that good for you, then all 80-year-old men would want it, and for different reasons." So I took it that this movie was not in like the 20th century. Like it's supposed to be right in the past, but yet they're talking about Popeye the cartoon here, though.
Yeah, it's just. They're also quoting the Marx Brothers, names. So,
right. But if you took away the dialogue, when would you think that this movie was supposed to take place?
Yeah, in like the early 1900s.
Right. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're on the same page then.
Yeah. Papa.
The beggar attacks Yipao with a stick, and he has to dodge it while wearing the shoes. The young Padawan eventually gets the hang of it. Cut to the two in a field. Yipao is demonstrating whatever style his new master calls out. Garbage style, Thai boxing style, monkey style.
Gangnam style.
Monkey style is the best one because he screeches like a monkey. And it's superimposed, but I love it. And he they all really act like one too. Zach, give us our monkey style screech. Awesome. I love it.
I'm a monkey.
Oh, you're being ignorant. Sammo Hung joins in on the monkey style fun, and the two of them spar together. It's great when the master gets Yipao in a headlock, then scratches his head like a monkey. But the young apprentice eventually gets knocked on his ass. When his master tells him to get up, Yipao says he's too winded. The new master knows how to get the man in shape. Cut to the beggar master holding a rope that's tied to a pole. It's a one-man jump rope. He tells Yipao to start jumping, and the young man thinks it's easy. But then the master starts giving him instructions on what to do while still jumping rope. Somersaults, kicks, rolls, backflips. It's fucking amazing. Eventually, Yipao falls on the rope, and the master begins hitting and beating him with it. Yipao gets back up into his feet and is jumping and starts jumping again. The scene kind of fades into another similar scene. But before we leave this scene, dude, all the fucking shit he was doing when he was dripping sweat. Like cause he's had, what is that called when you're on your back and you have to jump up to your feet?
So it's called a kip up or a nip up. You can either, I looked it up, guys, before you're like, no, it's called this. It's nip up or kip up.
Yeah.
Paul London calls it a nip up. I call it a kip up, but they're both the same. It's a move I wish I always could do, and I can't do it. I've tried. It's hard.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, we might hear about it on the next episode of 80s Kids Unite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why you knew what the name was.
David Ullman, if you're listening, you're going to love that episode. Wink, wink.
But Zach, the fact that he does it multiple times while a rope is jump roping over him, and he's also flipping and rolling and not getting caught on the rope or anything.
I don't get it. I don't know. I'm in awe of anyone who can do that, and the fact that he does it multiple times is just insane.
Dude, Zach, guys and gals, Zach is probably the best shape of any person I know personally in my life. And I know for a fact you couldn't do any of this.
No. I mean, I can barely do the splits. And when I say barely, I can't.
I can barely cauterize my wounds.
And I can barely cauterize moles. Paulette's like, stop it. This is my movie. This is Knockabout. It's not Moleabout. Mole. My moley wart.
So the scene kind of fades out, and then we can tell it's a time jump. We don't know if it's I think it's a different day, to be honest with you. And they're still doing the jump rope training, but now Yipao is doing better, and it's his master who is tired out by spinning the rope. Yipao kind of mocks him by telling him to go faster. Eventually, his fat master is too tired to swing the rope, and Yipao asks if he's tired. Sammo Hung says he's just winded. Yipao says, winded? He smiles and then grabs the rope and makes his master do the jump training, and now it's got to get him back into shape, basically.
Yeah, I love this. I think at one point too, Yipao has scratches on his chest, which is definitely an homage to Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. Yeah.
Cut to the fat master sending Yipao to town to buy some wine while he roasts a chicken for them for dinner. Cut to Yipao about to leave the market with a bottle of wine in his hand when he spots who he thinks is his older brother, Taipao.
Bottle of red, bottle of white, and then every time... Sorry, I'm on a Billy Joel kick right now.
Okay.
Fucking
He's had his
love Billy
first...
Joel.
I think hit in years, like a first new song hit, you know?
Yeah, dude. But like, I was watching the Grammys not that long ago, and he played a song from the album Glass Houses, which is a great album cover where it's Billy Joel like looking. He's gonna throw. It's shot from behind. He's about to throw a rock into this glass, this house that's all glass, you know, and
hence the name.
Yeah, dude. That album from beginning to end. It's just a fantasy, whoa, not done. It's not the real thing. Oh, so good. If you want like a hard-hitting, kind of punkish Billy Joel album, Glass Houses is a great album.
Okay. I'm not the biggest Billy Joel fan, but I'll check that out.
You may be right. I may be crazy. I might just be the lunatic you're looking for. It's on that album.
And it's funny because that's probably my favorite Billy Joel song.
Mine too. That album, Glass Houses, is a great album. He's very, at least on the West Coast, very underappreciated. I think on the East Coast is where he gets most of his notoriety and popularity.
Well, isn't he an East Coast guy?
Yeah,
isn't he an East Coast guy to begin with, right?
He is, but I think he gets forgotten about when you think of like singer-songwriters. He definitely does not get the validation and appreciation that he deserves.
Yeah. No, I think you're right in that regard. But yeah, so check out that album.
Check out that album, and then don't check out the dude that Yipao is checking out, who he thinks is his brother.
He says he's not his brother. He says his name is Monty, but in the Hong Kong version, his name is Big Eyes.
It's a funny moment though, because it's like the guy's giving him way too much. My name's,
my name's
I don't care.
Monty.
Like, no, I don't care.
Yeah. This causes Yipao to have a flashback to his brother's death. He keeps walking through the market and he sees his old master, the fox, in the crowd. He follows the old killer out of town to an open field. Yipao calls out, "Old fox!" And the man turns around and says, "Well now, it's you." Yipao throws down his jug of wine and attacks. The two men fight to a stalemate, and the old master says, "I taught you how to fight, remember? You haven't got a chance, kid." Yipao takes off his jacket, changing his style, and attacks the old man. They fight, and this time Yipao lands a few blows, pushing the fox back and startling him. "Still figure I don't have a chance? There are some things you didn't teach me." They fight some more, and again, Yipao is able to deflect every move and eventually kicks his old master to the ground. This causes Ku Wu Tai to attack harder and faster, and he now lands some hits on Yipao, sending the younger man to the ground. Yipao springs up and cartwheels out of the fox's reach. The old man says, "Well, kid, your kung fu has improved, but not good enough." Yipao says he isn't finished yet and switches up his style again and attacks the old man. I believe this one is a bit of a variation on the monkey style, but it's not fully monkey style this time.
No, it's not whoop-up monkey style.
But whatever it is, Ku Wu Tai isn't able to overcome it. He has a big scratch across his face. The fox comes at Yipao harder this time and knocks the young man to the ground, then drops an elbow on his chest. He can't land the death blow, though. Oh, man, we're missing the death blow. As Yipao dies, there's been a lot of Seinfeld references this episode for no reason whatsoever. As Yipao dodges it and gets back to his feet, his old master says, "You need experience." Yipao says, "Not your kind, you murdering bastard." Yipao takes off running with Kuwu-tai chasing him. Cut to a shop, and the beggar is buying a chicken and ingredients for a meal, when all of a sudden Yipao comes flying through the air and lands on the ground. The fox goes to kick the young man, but his new master defends him with his foot, sending the old master flying onto a table. All the patrons clear out, much to the owner's chagrin. Kuwu-tai tells the beggar to stay out of it, but Sammo says he's going to put the fox behind bars. Realizing he's a cop, the fox attacks the fat man just as he's handing the chicken and the ingredients to Yipao to hold. The beggar cop and the old criminal fight until the owner gets between them and tells him to stop. Kuwu-tai hits him and takes his smoking pipe to use as a weapon like he did in the previous fight with Yipao and Taipao. Yipao says it's looking pretty grim, but the beggar cop says he's holding an ace. The two men fend off Kuwu-tai's attacks, but he's outmatching them overall. That is until the two men use their monkey style.
Whoop a monkey style.
The old fox has a hard time fighting such an unorthodox style. He can't predict their attacks. As an added benefit, the monkey style lends itself to teamwork. So there are a lot of moves where Yipao is on his new master's back, blocking and fighting in unison. At one point, Yipao is hanging off the beams on the roof of the building. It's quite the spectacle to behold.
So over the top, so wild. Again, you have to see it to really take it in. Describing it doesn't do it justice. It's as better than Ezra said, it's extraordinary. Your love is extraordinary, baby.
Fucking better than Ezra, huh?
I saw them. Lifehouse opened for them when I saw them.
Oh, shit. Lifehouse.
Hanging by a moment here with you.
I think Lifehouse was an East Coast band, if I recall. No, that's Beach House. I think Beach House is a Maryland band. My bad.
Beach House is. I think I know who you're talking about, and that's a good band. I mean, Lifehouse is cool, but there were those bands in the '90s, like The Calling, or was it The Calling? Yeah. Maybe I said. Apparently, the lead singer of The Calling, Paul London said this. Lead singer of The Calling is Charles Band's son.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like, that's the thing, man. Like, as the older you get, you realize that, like, every fucking band, every actor, no one just appeared out of nowhere. They're all kids of somebody. Yep. They're all like, or you see them now and you realize they've been acting since they were like 5. You know?
All the projects I've ever been able to work on, it's like a friend recommended me, got it through connection here.
Yeah.
There. None of it's just like, worked hard, like got the gig. It's very rare.
Well, I think the singer for oh my God, I Bless the Rains Down in Africa, Toto. Isn't that John Williams' brother or son? I think it's actually his son.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
It's not just systematic.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone's a fucking Nepo kid, basically. Yep. Everyone. Except for us. So we had to make our own. And then when we have kids, like Bodhi will be a Nepo kid.
Amen.
You're like, God willing,
Yep.
Baphomet willing.
From your mouth to monkey paw's ears.
There you go. There's a comical part where the beggar cop jumps on his apprentice's back, but they both fall down because the older man is too heavy. This throws them off their game, and when the fat beggar cop leaps through the air, the old fox smashes a chair against his shins, sending him onto a table. Actually, through a table. He can't get up because his legs are messed up. Now Yipao has to fight the fox alone. It goes as well as you can imagine. Sammo Hung gets to his feet, but is also beaten down one-on-one with Kuwu-tai. Yipao goes back to fighting, but gets taken down again. This time, when his old master tries to do the flying elbow flip death blow, his signature move, the beggar cop, aka his new master, catches the fox in the air, like mid-air.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But then gets punched in the face and kicked out a window and into the foliage outside. So he gets fucked up for his move there.
Well, yeah, I mean, what this fight scene is also showing is that the fox is the tougher of the three, but the other two work so well as a tag team. It's still a 2-on-1 scenario, but it takes two to defeat the one.
Yeah, and that's how you want your villain to be. I mean, that's the villain. Your hero has to overcome. If it's easy, then I mean, look, Darth Vader, best villain out there. I mean, at least the one that everyone sort of thinks about right away. And look how fucking tough he was. It took him 3 movies for Luke to overcome him. You know what I mean? So it's
which Star Wars was it? Which Star Wars was it where Qui-Gon and Obi take on? Was it
Darth Maul, Phantom Menace? Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe Darth Maul is actually more powerful than Darth Vader because it took 2 guys to take him down.
Yeah, maybe. And we've never seen the fight between Maul and Vader, so at least not like movie-wise and whatnot. So
just saying, it took 2 to defeat him versus 1.
That's true.
2 pretty hardcore Jedis too.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong there, buddy. You're not wrong, Zach. We may have to have a Star Wars podcast one of these days.
Woo! Yeah, can we talk about little Annie wearing a Gap backpack or a backpack from Old Navy?
Of course we can. Okay. Of course we can. Okay. Eventually, the old fox kicks Yipao out the window too, and they both fight on the grass outside. Whee! Oh! The old man breaks his smoking pipe and has to change up his style. It's interesting because it seems like that pipe is necessary for his snake style.
It's pipe style. Corey's style would be vape. No.
Ganja style.
Yes. Whoop ganja style.
There you go. Again, one-on-one, Yipao barely holds his own. Just then, the Fat Master comes from behind the building with his giant vine with thorns and tells Yipao to catch the other end. I like how he catches it. He's like, ow! Cuts himself.
I mean, it's clearly fake, but it's funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of gross looking because it's so thick.
It is very
veiny.
Thick. It is thick and veiny, just like we like it.
Sorry, Paulette.
I'm so sorry, Paulette. I'm so sorry. The 2 men use it to beat the old fox and forcing him to play their deadly game of jump rope. Yipao eventually ties his end of the vine to a wooden pole and fights the old man while they both jump over the vine. I mean, none of my words do this justice, guys.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Big, like, thick cable with spikes coming out of it. It's a vine. It's a thorny vine.
And the fox is like it's like your fucking juicy ropes from fucking.
I was just talking about juicy ropes last night. Kristen's like, you love your juicy ropes. I'm like, you got that from Corey.
Yeah, she did. Goddamn right.
I love my juicy ropes. Guys, I'm telling you, next convention you go to, seek out the juicy ropes, these licorice, these like 3-foot, like, guys, you got to want the juicy ropes.
You turned into like Christopher Walken for like a second. You're like, guys, I'm telling you.
It was natural too. I got cotton candy flavor. It was like pink on the outside, blue on the inside, or something like that. It was so good. So good.
Now, I do like that the old fox is getting like the thorns are like digging into him. So he's got like cuts on him and puncture wounds and shit. Yeah.
Pan.
The fight ends with the old fox getting tripped by the vine and Yipao rolling and dropping both fists onto his chest. Then he's strangling his old master. But so the fox is laying on the ground. Picture Yipao like sort of above his head, grabbing his neck. So like he's not technically like Yipao is not on top of him. He's like above him, but also laying on the ground, and he's like sort of choking his neck.
Yeah.
And so as he's strangling his old master, the new one jumps up, Sammo Hung jumps up and splashes him with his full weight. While the beggar cop is on top of the old fox, he puts his hand over the old man's mouth and says, shh, as Yipao strangles him to death This is kind of like, actually, when I say these words, it sounds very dark, but it's not as dark in the movie. But when you like actually think about what's happening, you're like, shouldn't you be arresting this guy? No, they're just murdering him.
Yeah, because the fox won't hesitate to murder them if he has a chance.
Right. But the fact that like Sammo Hung, like, and if he's a cop, like puts his hand on his mouth and like basically shuts him up while he fucking dies, like that's hardcore.
Whoop whoop vigilante style.
There it is.
Hey, vigilante.
Our two heroes lay bloody and bruised on top of their dead opponent. The beggar cop says his legs are killing him and he'll have to be carried. Yipao picks him up and puts him on his back. They walk a few feet and both fall with their arms up. Freeze frame and credits roll. And that's
so
1979's Knockabout.
Whoop whoop knockabout. Yeah.
Dude, this was so much fun. It was a fun breakdown. I mean, I hope we did it justice. Paulette, the silliness aside, I hope we did the breakdown justice. And thank you for bringing this movie to the table. You know, we never would have covered this one. And I never probably would have seen it my entire life. And I'm so glad I have the Arrow Blu-ray. Guys and gals, it's not expensive. It's like $15 or something on Amazon.
$15, little man. Put that shit in my hand.
There you go. Dude, we got all kinds of references coming. Was that Clerks or Mallrats? Or was that Jason Amy? Clerks, okay.
I think.
I knew it was Jay.
One of them. I mean, we broke down Mallrats, but whatever.
Yeah, and I don't remember that. And I don't think that's in Mallrats. But yeah, this was so much fun. Like, just the shit that they were doing. Guys and gals, if you made it through this entire episode, you can still go watch the movie and have a whole new experience with it.
Yeah, I mean, the description of the fight scenes, which you did fantastically, by the way.
Thank you.
It doesn't do it justice, because you got to watch this movie for the zaniness of it. It's a wacky film. Like, if you've never seen Kung Fu cinema, this is a good one to start with.
Yeah.
You know, the 70s in Kung Fu cinema had a whole different tone than the 80s. The 80s there were some lighthearted ones too, but it just was a different vibe. Thinking back now, this style was very popular with the Drunken Master series. You know, so I highly recommend this one. Paulette, thank you again for bringing this one to the table, because like Corey said, we wouldn't have covered this otherwise, but I'm so glad we did, because we had a lot of fun with it and I enjoyed watching it, and I look forward to watching it again. It's one that I will watch repeatedly because it's dark yet lighthearted at the same time. It's like a Coen Brothers movie in a way.
Interesting. That's a good comparison. Did Bodie happen to watch this at all, or do you think this is a little dark for him?
Okay. This is too dark for him, I think.
Gotcha. Okay. Maybe in a few years, this might be a good introduction to that sort of era of cinema.
I think the first one I will introduce to him when it comes to Hong Kong cinema will be Police Story.
Okay. Cool.
Because I love that movie so much. Or City Hunter, which is based on a manga with Jackie Chan. It's got the infamous scene where he's fighting Gary Daniels in the arcade on the yacht, and he kicks him into Street Fighter, and next thing you know, they battle each other as Street Fighter characters. It's fantastic.
I was going to ask you if that was the one with Street Fighter character. Yeah, I've seen that scene, but I've never seen the movie.
Yeah, I talked to Richard Norton about the fight scene he has with Jackie Chan in that, and it took him like 8 days. He told me about that when he stayed at my house. Bragger.
I'm surprised it's taken this long for you to mention that, because that was years ago.
Dude, that was like 5 years ago, I think, or 4 years ago.
That's
right
insane.
When the pandemic, right before the pandemic, right before the pandemic, I think.
Yeah. It was like right at the beginning of us starting to do this show and everything.
Yeah, that's right. He was one of my first interviews for $2 late fee. So anyways, I love this genre, and I'm so glad Paulette opened the door for this genre so we can do more movies like this. And if you are a patron, or you're considering signing up to become a patron, and you would like to be at the highest tier, where we will break down a movie of your choice, like Knockabout, like Excalibur from Robert, like Cam Sully with
Android and
Android
body
and Believers, and or Crystal with Monster Squad, or
Aaron with Bachelor Party.
Yeah, so like the diversity of the patrons who were at this level with the movies they've chosen is all over the place. The only other genre I think we have to cover is like political thriller and romantic comedy. No. But it's up to you. Like literally, you could choose Green Card with Gerard Depardieu and Andy McDowell. No. But if you wanted to, you could. I'm just saying you could. If you wanted to cover Legal Eagles with, Deborah Winger and Robert Redford. No, you could. I'm just saying. If you do, consider it. You can sign up at patreon.com/podcastingafterdark.
And you can find all the links on our website, podcastingafterdark.com. That's podcastingafterdark.com. You can find links to our Patreon, our social media, our merch store, all our past episodes, TV Obscura included, everything across the board. Our contact form, you can get a hold of us that way and everything. So podcastingafterdark.com. That's podcastingafterdark.com. Same thing applies to $2 late fee as well. Those guys over there, Zach and Dustin, have a website as well, TWO, $2 late fee. And contact form, links to their Patreon, links to their podcatchers, social media, and all that kind of stuff. And we know a lot of you will support both shows, so thank you so much. And leave us 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you feel so inclined. It's a free way to help out the show.
Yeah, don't do a 4-star. Like, just if you're gonna do
if you're not gonna do a 5-star, just don't do anything.
Yeah, don't do it, because just don't be a hater, be a lover.
But again, thank you, Paulette, for Knockabout. This was awesome, and thank you, Zach, for riding shotgun on this one. It was awesome, and so this was a hoot. That's all I can say is, guys and gals, this movie's a fucking hoot.
It sure is, and thank you, Paulette, for kicking off Martial Art Madness for Podcasting After Dark and $2 late fee. Really, if you think about it, because we all month long we will be covering martial art type stuff. I know that, we'll have an episode of 80s Kids Unite coming up very soon, later this month, across the board on $2 late fee, Podcasting After Dark, Territory Marks, etc., etc. You're going to love that one. There's a lot of fun content coming your way from every direction from Podcasting After Dark. And thank you guys for always being so supportive of the show. And yeah, thanks again, Paulette, for picking a kick-ass movie. Get it?
There you go. And as always,
we'll catch you on the David Orange. We'll catch you on the dark side. We'll catch you on the dark side, Pan. We'll catch you on the dark side. We'll catch you on the dark side. We'll catch you on the dark side.
I'm keeping it all in, so
I don't know. Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Support Podcasting After Dark on Patreon. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Podcasting After Dark. And visit us next time for another installment of Podcasting After Dark with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.
In a world that has been completely divided for so long, 2 movie fans have decided to unite for the people and the betterment of mankind. One, an action movie buff. The other, a horror movie fanatic. Together, they will try to bridge the gap of both genres into one podcast with their battle cry, "Give me back my action and horror movies." Listen along as Charlie and Nate alternate each week talking about action and horror movies they cherish, mostly from the VHS era. Also, including some modern examples that felt like the movies they grew up with by answering the battle cry. Give me back my action and horror movies! Available wherever you listen to podcasts. Look them up on Facebook and Instagram.